Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well today. My name is Dr. Zayas, and on behalf of the Slytherin Group, welcome to today's stream featuring Command Modern Air Naval Operations Live DLC, The King of the Border, just recently released a few days ago, and now happily available on the Steam and the Matrix Games store. Hope everyone's doing well today. It's very cold here, as per usual, just like last time I was on here with you doing the preview stream. Bit of a head cold, so I do apologize if I sniffle or cough or have to mute the mic a few times to prevent you from hearing all the glorious joy of my cold, but that's the way it is in Canada, very cold. Lots of kids around me too, so it's always bringing with it a sickness. But either way, we're going to get going here right away. For those of you who were with the preview stream about 2 weeks ago, you'll have a good understanding of where we are with this scenario and what we're planning on doing. I'm going to replay a lot of the basics of going over the order of battle, but I'm going to try to do it in a very quick manner so we don't waste a lot of time going over what the scenario actually contains. I would like to get to some action and actually try to play it through. I've got 3 hours to play it, and I'm looking forward to trying to make a push to get through as much of the blue side as I can in this 3-hour stream time. Now, just a quick note that you'll see in chat, we've got Robbie7979. He is the scenario author of The King of the Border, so if anybody has any specific questions, you can direct them at Robbie7979 as always. Good to see you, Mr. Robbie. All right, now before we get going here with the textual briefing, instead of reading the scenario overview, which I did last time, what I'm going to do is play for you the actual Command Live video from the Slytherin YouTube page. All right, so it's about 1.5 minutes. Let's bring that up here. That'll give you a quick scenario overview of where we're at, and then we'll move on to the scenario briefing for the blue side.
A new missile crisis is unfolding as Moscow tries to establish a nuclear bomber base in Venezuela island of Orchila. Over recent years, Venezuela has become a pariah state in the West due to its increasingly authoritarian regime that has retained strong support in Moscow. In addition, the government has continued to expand its military power. Its Air Force is equipped with early model F-16As and the latest Sukhoi Su-30 Mk2s, while its Navy operates small but modern vessels sourced from Europe, mainly with German-built submarines and Italian frigates. Russia's support does not only worry the United States, but also its closest ally in the area, Colombia. Though Colombia's army is composed by battle-hardened and experienced special forces, the long fight against insurgents and drug lords has shaped it toward counterinsurgency tactics rather than to full-scale regional conflicts. Now that the Venezuelan authorities have formally granted Moscow access to the Caribbean, the balance of power is going to shift in favor of Caracas. A permanent outpost only 1,500 miles from Florida would deny or impede greatly any direct help from Washington to its Southern American allies and be seen as a major threat by the United States to its sovereignty. Will the United States sit back while another Syrian-style civil war erupts right on its doorstep and Russia taunts it with a nuclear dagger aimed at America's throat? Stay tuned for further information.
All right, so that's the overview of the King of the Border. Of course, it's Venezuela and Colombia as the main actors, but it wouldn't be a wonderful scenario here if we didn't have either side being backed by the mega power Russia and the United States. So we'll be playing as the United States in the scenario, and it is a fully difficult scenario. The bar is completely green, meaning look out, it's going to be a hard one, and it's a very complex scenario as well, meaning there's a lot of units that we need to be aware of on the battlefield. All right, it's a 2-day-long scenario. We're going to be playing the United States, and it's based slightly in the future, October 28th, 2019. Winter Mute. Yes, there's a bunch of live scenarios that I've got here from the Steam store. I use Command on Steam, but of course you can purchase Command directly through the Matrix Games store as well. The Brexit missions, I believe those were one of the first Command Live DLCs that they ever did release. There were 2, Brexit You Fix It, and No Brexit No Problem. And there's a whole bunch of other missions as well, from Arctic warfare and pole positions to Spratly Sea, a mission with China and I think a conglomeration of NATO forces, Australian, Indonesian, that kind of thing. A lot of live scenarios have been kind of ripped from the headlines in that they've taken their inspiration from current day news items. Definitely not word for word. Definitely not duplicating what's actually out there, but drawing inspiration from real world scenarios, as is this King of the Border scenario. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and they're each separate scenarios. They have no relation to one another in the sense that it's not like a campaign where you go from one to the next to the next to the next. They're all standalone scenarios with their own little fully encompassed storyline in that scenario itself. All right, let's move on here to the briefing for the United States side. And again, if you were here for the preview a few weeks back, you will recognize a lot of this. A lot of it is very much the same as what we saw before. Although some of the, obviously some of the things in the scenario did change when we last saw it during the preview from release time a few days ago. So we'll keep our eyes open for that. But for the most part, the major strokes of the scenario have not changed. All right, so there are two border cities in Colombia, which we will look at once I get the scenario loaded here, called Cucuta and Aroca. And riots have erupted around them, but it's not clear who fired first. The ground forces have been fighting for several days in bloody conflicts, and Putin has declared 2 days ago that the behavior of the Colombian army is inadmissible, and it intends to intervene with an iron fist. So we know that Russia's coming to the defense of Venezuela, and we have to support Colombia as the American forces, helping its airspace and taking control of the waters. So enemy force-wise, we're expecting quite a variety of modern aircraft. We've got Su-30 Mark IIs, or Mk2s, sorry. MiG-29Ks, the carrier variant of the MiG-29, F-16 Falcons, MiG-31 interceptors, Su-35s, and even the Su-57 PAC-F stealth fighter. There's also Russian forces at sea. We're expecting frigates, aircraft carriers, and submarines of the Oscar III class. Now, friendly forces, this is what we're going to be able to use during the scenario. We have the B-1B Lancer bomber. We've got F-35 Lightnings, F-15C Eagles, some F-16s, some Super Hornets, as well as some F-22 Raptors spread across the theater. In support, we'll have some Hawkeyes, some Sentries, some P-8 Poseidons, and some electronic warfare-equipped EA-18 Growlers. In terms of naval forces, we have three disparate forces. The Ronald Reagan Strike Group, consisting, of course, of the Ronald Reagan and our escorts. U.S. Patrol Fleet, which includes the Hugh City, the Mahon, and the Bainbridge. And then three submarines, the Jimmy Carter, the Seawolf, and the Hawaii. Allied forces-wise, forces that we have in the scenario that we are not actually able to control, they are mainly consisting of aircraft, the Kafir C.10 and the A-29 Super Tucano. Now, our mission as the Americans in the scenario is to support the Colombian side by defending their facilities and their air force. We are to destroy the two Tu-160 Blackjack nuclear bombers at the airport on the island of Orchila. We are also to avoid losses from both sides as much as possible and eliminate any Russian naval forces and Venezuelan air forces. Now, the note that is listed here is going to be one of our immediate objectives, which is to defend the cities near the border, Aroca and Cucuta, from the enemy. We also have MLRS artillery available. So if we just enter into the scenario here on the USA side, we'll take a quick look at those two cities and what that means for our immediate strategy. Now, I've been playing, just a quick note before we get going here, I've been playing this game for quite a while, for about 2.5 to 3 years, especially over on my YouTube channel. Back in 2016, I think Northern Inferno was my very first scenario play. So I've been playing this for a while. I'm going to try to remember to call out the keystrokes I'm hitting when I do a shortcut key to do a certain function in the UI. If there's something I'm doing that you're not sure of how I'm doing it or why I'm doing it or what I'm doing, please just let me know in chat. And I'll try to explain it as best I can. And I'll try to remember to either call out my keystrokes or use the menu here so you can see exactly what I'm trying to do. I know the UI can be a bit daunting for people, especially new people to the game. So again, if you have any questions, please shout them out in chat. And or I'll try to be as explicit and as clear as possible by using the menus as much as I can. All right, so this is the first city here. We've got the border between Colombia and Venezuela right along here, and northern city is Cucuta, and just southeast is Aroca. Now, around these two cities, we have some units. The units marked with A are Colombian forces. They're controlled by the AI. I do not have any say in how they are used or what they get to do. They are completely out of my control. There are, however, some units that do not have an A marked on them, which give me essentially full control of how I want these used. We have an infantry platoon. We also have some mechanized infantry, as well as the MLRS that was mentioned in the briefing. Now we can see here the little orange circle means that we've got a land attack radius of about, and I'm hitting Control D to bring up the range tool, about 35 nautical miles from the MLRS and roughly a few nautical miles from the mechanized infantry and the ranger platoon. So I'm not sure what we're going to be facing across the border, whether it be ground-based or air-based, but at least we do have the ability to reach out about 35 nautical miles to attack somebody, if somebody should show up. Now, one thing to note here as well, we do have an airplane hovering above us, an airplane that is one of ours. It's an E-2D Advanced Hawkeye, giving us quite the nice view of the battlefield, or the battle space. We have roughly half of Venezuela covered with our airborne radar, and about a quarter of Venezuela covered with our surface search radar. So quite a nice pair of eyes in the sky for us at the moment, although we are extremely close to the border, and I do not see any anti-air defenses on the ground with which to defend our Hawkeye with. So we'll have to keep that in mind, as the closest air force that we have is over here in Panama, so quite a distance between us and the front lines. Do these games have any land forces? Yes, Lanzer, we certainly do. They are not modeled to the depth that the aircraft and the naval units are, but they are certainly in the game. So we have, like I was just saying, we've got infantry, we've got mechanized infantry, we've got rocket-launched artillery, and you can certainly add all sorts of land units in using the mission editor if you so desire, but again, the fidelity of those units is much more simple than the aircraft and the ships that we see, that we normally play with in these scenarios. Moving on south here to down to Oroka, we have, again, a ranger platoon with some U.S. mechanized infantry. I can just zoom in here a little bit and see them a bit easier. Some Colombian Army units, nothing that we have control over again, and then MLRS artillery as well that just barely creeps over the border. Moving on back here, we do not see any other units that are not marked with an A, so we can safely assume that everything in this area, let's draw a better box, everything in this area is out of our control. We'll get to use the shared vision that it offers us through the radar stations and the units that are in the air, but the actual units that are on the ground and launchable, such as the aircraft here at Ernesto Cortizos International Airport, they're out of our control and they will do what they are assigned to do and nothing else. So we can see some A-29 Super Tucanos with both an air-to-air loadout and a ground attack loadout. The air-to-air loadout is not too impressive. They're armed with Piranha missiles, which have a range of 8 nautical miles. They're infrared seeking, so they're pretty much a short-ranged, possibly self-defense weapon. But if we look at the other option at the airbase, which is the only other option that we were told in the briefing the Colombians would have available to them, the Kafir C-10, which I believe is a Israeli-made copy of the Mirage. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it was. An older aircraft, definitely updated a little bit for entry into the Colombian Air Force. As of 2014, these are the models that we're using. And this aircraft only has a short-range weapon as well for anti-air defense, if I can find it here. The Python 5, 15 nautical miles. So the Colombian Air Force, not very well equipped to deal with the standoff capability of the Russian Air Force or the Venezuelan equipped Air Force that has both F-16s and very modern Russian fighters as well. Who is the Op 4 in this scenario? Well, we're playing as the Blue 4. We are the USA with Colombia as our ally. The Venezuelan side is the ostensibly the enemy, although they are backed by the Russians. And our job as the Americans is to sink the Russian fleet, defend Colombian airspace and the Colombian units on the ground, and destroy the two Russian nuclear bombers that are on the island of Orchila, which is roughly, I want to say here, just on the northern coast of Venezuela. So we'll see that once we click the clock forward, once we get the initial steps here set up. Alrighty, so let's do a quick run through of the order of battle. Like I said, I did an in-depth order of battle preview during the preview stream for this scenario about 2 weeks ago. I have no interest in taking an hour and a half of your time to redo that. So we're going to fly through things here with an eye towards getting the clock moving as fast as we can. Again, if you've got any questions with what we're using here or how I'm doing things, please put them in chat. And otherwise, we're just going to breeze through the order of battle and get the scenario started. So this is our theater of operations here, the Caribbean Sea. We have no units in the continental United States with which to use. everything that we have available to us is located right here. Starting east and working our way west, we'll start with Puerto Rico. We've got 3 air bases in Puerto Rico. Starting with Rafael Hernandez Airport, 42 aircraft on the ground, 28 available for us to use. The pinnacle of our force for today, I do believe, will be the 11 B-1B Lancers that are available to us, 6 of them which are armed with the LRASM, which is a very utilitarian weapon in that it can attack pretty much everything we've got in the scenario. Surface ships, land structures, mobile units, and runways. Has a great range, 430 nautical miles, so it's a very standoff capable weapon. It has a Tomahawk data link. We have the ability to give it updates in the middle of its course, so it can actually take a different course than what it was pre-plotted on when it was launched. And we have the ability to, again, use it wherever we see fit. So if we see enemy ships that we want to attack, if we see enemy aircraft on the ground that we want to hit, both of which are objectives for us in the scenario, the LRASM will be a great value for us. Now, we also have 2 JASM-armed B-1Bs. JASM is a slightly less utilitarian option for us. It does not have the ability to hit surface ships, although it can still hit land structures, mobile units, and runways. B-1B, is that overkill? Well, just you wait there, PS359. We have quite a lot of standoff options available to us, and as some of you may have seen from my YouTube videos over on stoicfrog.tv, I do like my standoff weapons, whether it be en masse shootings of Tomahawks or something air-launched. I do like using my standoff weapons. So we have a lot of options. That is something I'm very happy to see, because it certainly fits right into my wheelhouse of how I like to play. All right, so we got some F-16s set up with some air-to-air weaponry, some AIM-120Ds with a range of about 75 nautical miles, and some Mavericks for short-range ground support. A lot of the aircraft that we have in this scenario are actually in maintenance and not available to us. What I do need to keep an eye out for, however, are units that are in reserve. Those reserve units are ones that I can actually set up with a loadout over the course of about 3 to 6 hours. So as I'm going through here, I'm going to call everything out and then set up the units that actually need loadouts assigned to them. We've got 4 KC-46s for tanker duty, 6 Strike Eagles, again armed with JASMs, 3 P-8 Poseidons, 2 of them armed with anti-submarine warfare loadouts, and 1 in reserve. So let's ready this guy up also as a anti-submarine warfare equipped Poseidon. And we've got 7 F-22 Raptors, 4 of which are in maintenance, 3 of which are in maintenance, and 4 of which are available to us to use with their standard internal loadout, maintaining their stealth profile. All right, so that is the first airbase in Puerto Rico. Looking at Luis Munoz Marin International Airport, we've got 29 aircraft on the ground, 17 available to use. Starting off here, we've got 18 F-16s. Looks like 4 of them are equipped for anti-air with the AIM-120D. 4 of them are equipped with Mavericks for close-range ground support. We've got 1 in reserve. And let's set this guy up with an air-to-air loadout. We have some options here. We've got medium, light, and heavy loadouts. I do prefer my heavy loadouts. We have plenty of stores on the ground, 300 available heavy loadouts to us. We're not going to run out of missiles at this airbase, so I'd like using the heavy loadout whenever I can. Gives us more options. But I would like to use from this... I did notice at Luis Marin here, we do not have any anti-air equipped Falcons with a sniper pod. And we have had the warning in the briefing there might be some stealth aircraft on the Russian side, so I do want to have the ability to at least have another set of eyes in the sky if radar is going to have trouble detecting them. So we're going to set up this single Falcon with a sniper pod, forward-looking infrared sniper pod, and a heavy loadout of 4 AMRAAMs and 2 Sidewinders. So that if we do have to go forward, he'll at least have some eyes for us in the case that a stealth aircraft is lurking out in the ether. Moving on down further here at Luis Munoz Marin International Airport, we have 3 Hawkeyes, 2 of which are available to us, 3 P-8 Poseidons, again, 2 of which are available to us, and 5 KC-46 tankers. 3 are available, 1 is in reserve. Let's get him set for a tanker mission, and he will be ready in 3 hours. Alrighty then, so we've got 1 final airbase here on Puerto Rico, NAS Roosevelt Roads. 10 F-35 Lightnings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are unavailable, 3 set up as anti-air loadouts with internal-only loadouts maintaining their stealth profile, and 2 set up for ground attack with GPS and laser-guided bombs. We have 4 Hawkeyes, 2 unavailable, 2 ready to go on a mission that's already predefined. I'll have to take a look at that once before we hit the clock, make sure I know exactly which missions are predefined and what they're actually doing. We have 5 EA-18 Growlers, 4 of which are unavailable. Whew, that's a rough percentage right there. We have 1 available. He's set up for offensive ECM. 7 F-18C Hornets, 4 of which are available, 4 of which are set up for a light AIM-120D anti-air warfare loadout. That's 2 AMRAAMs and 6 Sidewinders. And 2 P-8 Poseidons, both set up for maritime surveillance. Okay, so that is Puerto Rico. Let's move on down here to the next units we have on the west, which are our at-sea units. Half the F-35s being in maintenance is accurate. Yeah, that they do pride themselves on the accuracy of their simulation here at in this game, I do believe. A bit of Kappa there, a bit of sarcasm, but it is unfortunately kind of true too. Alrighty, so starting at the north here, we've got our patrol fleet, which is 3 surface ships, the Bainbridge, the Hugh City, the Mahan. As I was hinting at earlier, we have a ton of Tomahawks available to us, 120 of them to be exact, of the Block 4 variety, 8 of the older C variety, and then the regular assortment of anti-air defenses that help us reach an anti-air defense range of, let me clear things up a little bit here. We'll turn off some sensors, turn off all the sensors. Let's get the land weapons off as well, surface weapons off. And we can see the light pink square, or the light pink circle around this fleet gives us our anti-air range, which in the case of this surface patrol fleet is roughly 130 nautical miles. So definitely a great range for us to reach out and defend ourselves with our assigned missiles. There is very little overlap, though, of this group with the carrier group just south of us here. We've got, again, 3 ships in the carrier group. One is, of course, the Ronald Reagan, and the other 2 is the Lake Erie, which is a Ticonderoga class guided missile cruiser, and the John Finn, which is an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. Again, plenty of Tomahawks, 56 to be exact, and then all the regular assortment of anti-air defensive weaponry that you would come to expect, including this pink circle, which reaches out quite a ways. Let's see, how far is that? About 1,300 nautical miles, give or take. I believe that would be an anti-ballistic missile. Let's see if we can find it here. There's something with an enormous range. Isn't any of you guys? Is it you? It isn't. All right. Well, there is something on these ships that has an amazing anti-air range. Here it is. Here it is. The SM-3 missile, 1,325 nautical mile range. Has the ability to hit missiles and guided bombs. All right, so if we run into any sort of ballistic missile of any sort, we do have the ability to defend ourselves against that threat as well. We have 16 of those available to us. All right, so the Ronald Reagan group, again, gives us a bit of a forward punch with some Tomahawks, but again, quite the powerful defense against the anti-air threats as well, with all of those long-range and short-range anti-air warfare missiles. All right, so we have 3 submarines, Jimmy Carter, the Seawolf, and the USS Hawaii. Again, pretty standard loadouts for these submarines, 12 Tomahawks on each of the Seawolf class, as well as a standard complement of torpedoes. And on the USS Hawaii, which is a Virginia Flight 1 submarine, we've got 24 Tomahawks, and then a slightly lesser component of Mark 48 torpedoes. So again, looking at our surface ship capabilities as well as our undersea assets, we have roughly 200 to 250 Tomahawks available to us, all of which, or most of which I should say, can hit land structures, mobile units, and runways. Not going to be very useful for us in the attack against the enemy fleet, which I'm assuming is somewhere in this area with the Admiral Kuznetsov, the Russian carrier. But definitely they're going to be of use to us in fighting off any sort of air defense that's land-based in this area, and any defenses around the island of Orchila, where the 2 nuclear bombers are located. Now in the air, we also have one Hawkeye already. This Hawkeye, let's turn the sensors back on. Airborne sensors, surface sensors. There we are. So this Hawkeye again has a great range, roughly 450 nautical miles, I think. Let's see. 350, off by 100 nautical miles. All right, so this will be one of the main assets that we use to figure out where the heck this Russian surface action group and the Russian carrier group is located. We also have many aircraft available to us on the Ronald Reagan. 47 Super Hornets in various stages of loadout. Some anti-air AMRAAM loaded out Super Hornets, AIM-120Ds, of course, as always. Some Maverick loaded Super Hornets for ground attack and support. And again, some laser-guided general purpose bombs. Are there any that are in reserve, or are they all in maintenance? Looks like they are all in maintenance. Okay, nothing to do for us there. We have 5 Growlers, 2 of them set up for offensive ECM, 3 of them set up for the suppression of enemy air defense with AGM-88C harms. Regular assortment of helicopters, some of which are configured for anti-submarine warfare, some of which are configured for mine detection. Nothing in the briefing about mines, so I'm hoping we're not going to walk into a minefield. But however, if we do walk into a minefield, we have the helicopters with which to deal with it. And then we also have our advanced Hawkeyes, one of which in reserve. Let's set him up for airborne early warning. And then we'll look at our C2A Greyhounds, which are all set to go with 16 SEALs each. All right, so that's our carrier strike group. Moving on to the final bastion of American resources in this scenario, we've got 3 air bases in the area of Panama. Enrique Adolfo Jimenez Airport, 10 aircraft, 3 of which are ready for us. We have 5 KC-46s for airborne refueling. 2 of them are readying already. They'll be ready in 3 hours. 2 are already set to go with their tanker loadout. And for the P-8 Poseidons, we have 5 available, but only 1 is actually ready to go. 4 of them are in maintenance and unavailable. And this guy is all set for maritime surveillance. Moving on down south to Howard Air Force Base, we've got 51 aircraft on the ground. Some F-18Cs with Mavericks for close-in ground support. We've got 2 in reserve. For the sake of consistency, let's just set them up as their fellow aircraft are already configured. With the Maverick loadout. I should also mention there's JDAMs on there as well. So Mavericks and JDAMs for close-in ground support. We've got 6 KC-46s, one of which is in reserve. Let's get him set up for a tanker loadout. Ready in 3 hours. We've got 4 all set to go, 1 in maintenance. More Growlers, 1 in reserve, 2 in reserve. Oh, we've struck gold here. We've actually got 4 available to use. Let's ready arm these guys as AGM-88E ARGMs for suppression of enemy air defense. They'll be ready in 6 hours. We'll keep our 2 offensive ECM-equipped Growlers all set to go as well, because we'll probably need them for whatever attacks we're going to be doing with our ground attack Hornets. I'm assuming we're going to run into some pretty capable SAMs as well as some pretty capable anti-air resources that the Venezuelans and Russians could throw at us. And ECM is always a good way to push our luck. Looking at our Raptors at Howard Air Force Base here, we've only got 4 available to us. 6 of them are unavailable. Of course, we've got a long-range loadout, which is internal only. So again, we maintain our stealth profile. And with the AMRAAM 120D, we're equipped with the best possible missile that the forces have available to them presently, with a range of 75 nautical miles. Let's just clean this up a little bit here. Let's move on down to the F-35s. 2 in reserve. Oh, and we've hit the jackpot once again. We have 6 Lightning available to us, and 6 are actually flyable. Now, what do we have here? We've got a light external loadout, so we are compromising our stealth ability on the F-35s by taking more weapons effectively. The difference between these 2 loadouts is 2 Sidewinders. Let's preserve the homogeneity of these units. We'll go with the light external loadout for these 2 as well. 3 Prowlers available to us, all of them listed with suppression of enemy air defense weaponry, the AGM-88C harms. 9 F-15C Eagles, again, anti-air loadouts, 5 of them available, 2 of them in reserve. Let's get them set up for... we want the Legion pod, again for the same reason we wanted the Sniper pod, for visibility in case our radar can't detect everything that's in the air in front of us. So we have Legion pod heavy. Yes, let's keep them the same as the other loadouts. I'm very happy with that loadout. Legion pod should come in handy for us for detecting not only aerial threats of the regular variety, but aerial threats of the stealth variety. And last but not least, we have 3 Hawkeyes, 2 of which are available to us. All right, our final ground-based location here. Tocumen International Airport, 16 aircraft, 14 of which are F-15 Strike Eagles. We have 3 in reserve. I'm going to set these guys up as anti-air resources with a sniper pod. They'll be ready in 3 hours. 5 are unavailable to us, and we also have 2 F-16Cs, which are in maintenance and unavailable. All right, so that is the 30,000-foot overview of the forces we have available to us in this scenario. If you saw the preview stream from about 2 weeks ago, not a lot has changed. A lot of those forces are pretty much the same as they were when we saw them 2 weeks ago. So if you were here that time, you're pretty familiar with what I've been talking about, and we're looking to move on, get the scenario going pretty quickly here, because I do want to make as much progress as we can towards inevitable victory. All right, just taking a minute to pause and look at chat here. See if I'm missing anything while I take a drink. PS3259 asks, can you pull aircraft from maintenance during the scenario? No, you cannot. At least not by default. If you go into the mission editor, you can of course change any scenario setting you want. The mission editor comes with the game, so any scenario that you have is capable of being edited as you see fit. But as it stands with the scenario as is, anything that's in maintenance stays in maintenance for the rest of the scenario, just like anything that is out of maintenance remains available to you as long as it doesn't get shot down or damaged in the fight. Ah, nice, Robbie. It sounds like you're making some updates that are going to make the scenario even better from the American standpoint. The Super Hornet pilot contacted you and offered some advice. Wow. Now there's a resource for you. That's pretty awesome. Alrighty, so we've got our forces available to us. The mission objectives, let's just take a quick step back here and refresh our memories on what we're actually attempting to do here. We have 4 objectives. Support the Colombian Air Force and facilities, defend them as best we can. Destroy the Tu-160 Blackjack nuclear bombers at the airport on the island of Orchila. Avoid losses and eliminate Russian naval forces and Venezuelan air forces. All right, so I see 3 major objectives here. 1, nuclear bombers here on Orchila. We need to take them out. 2, Russian naval forces in this rough area need to be eliminated. And 3, the ground forces in this area around Cucuta and Aroca need to be defended. Now, the forces in Panama are very well placed to defend these ground forces. They are the closest. We have some tankers available to us to kind of set up a nice track off the beaten path right here, roughly, I don't know, 200 nautical miles away from the front, 100 nautical miles away from the front, to keep our aircraft in place on the front lines. We also have a nice little situation here where we've got Puerto Rico on the east, and we've got our carrier group on the west, and whatever's in the middle is effectively the sandwich meat. So we're going to try to use our resources in Puerto Rico and on the carrier group to find the Russian naval forces, including the Admiral Kuznetsov, the Russian carrier, and deal with them as quickly as possible. Once those forces are dealt with, then I feel like whatever's on Orchila, we can kind of take our time and deal with as necessary. It's 2 nuclear bombers, Tu-160s, but they're not going to be a force in this scenario. They're not flying around ready to drop on us. They're just something we need to kill on the ground, and there's no threat from them, to be honest with you, as the scenario goes forward. We're not under nuclear threat is what I'm trying to say. So we do have time to deal with them as they are on Orchila, and we've got 2 days in this scenario. So plenty of time to deal with them once the Russian naval forces are out of the way. Plus, if we clear a path between the, and I'm hitting Control D again for the range utility. If we draw a path between our fleet here and Orchila, it's roughly 600 nautical miles, 700 nautical miles, give or take. we have a ton of Tomahawks, and if we have to take out something on this airfield, and we've got 200 plus Tomahawks available on our ships here, that's a huge resource that we can eventually use once the Russian naval forces are out of the way. So that is the hope. That is the hope. Take out the Russian force first. We'll play defensive on the Puerto Rican side as long as we commit all of our resources towards the search for these naval vessels. And once those Russian naval forces are out of the way, then we will light up Orchila with everything we have. They don't have nukes, so you can nuke them. Well, if I were to edit in some I don't know, some nuclear missile silos up here in the northern United States, then we could certainly nuke them. I don't think we have any nuclear weapons available to us in the default scenario, though. We're limited to conventional weapons, but yes, if we wanted to, we could effectively nuke them. Although I would postulate, I would put out there that 200 Tomahawks might have the same small nuclear effect on that small island as well. But that is the plan. Let's get things moving here. We have some previously created missions, or pre-created missions, I should say. We've got an EAW and EAWC mission. Let's see what's actually encompassing these missions. So EAW is north of Colombia. It consists of some Hawkeyes, some Growlers, and one aircraft that is already in flight. I wonder if that is this guy here. It says Flight Hawk 17. Are you Hawk 17? You were on that mission. You must be Hawk 17. All right. So once he has done his plotted course, he should go down to this track here. But we're not going to let him finish his plotted course. We want him to kind of push into the unknown here, into where I expect the Russian fleet to be, and use his radar and his all of his assets, his surface search and air search radar, to kind of help us pinpoint where everything is. We're going to put him at max altitude, so the maximum range of his radar is increased to its maximum. And we're going to remove him from this mission by hitting the U key, I believe, or unassigned units here under the unit order menu. Okay, he is unassigned. He will follow his station, and he's going to increase his height to 25,000 feet. All right, so that is one of the missions available right off the hop here. The other one is the EAWC mission, which is just off the coast of Puerto Rico with 5 advanced Hawkeyes assigned to it. Okay, so we'll let those missions stay as they are. It looks like it'll give us some good eyes over whatever's coming from Venezuela, as well as some of the unknown here in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. And them in one blow. Well, 200 Tomahawks, I think, might accomplish the same thing. Look, can you tell I'm looking forward to using my Tomahawks? I always love a good scenario with a ton of Tomahawks. It might bring my computer to its knees, but it's a lot of fun. All right, so Puerto Rican-wise, we're going to hedge our bets. We're going to launch all 6 of our B-1Bs. Launch them as a group. And we're going to launch all 4 of our F-22 Raptors as defenders for our B-1Bs. We're going to create a rally point. So let's first of all deselect all reference points. Then we're going to add a reference point roughly here. On that reference point, we're going to add a new mission. We're going to call that mission, well, first of all, we're going to make it a support mission, and we're going to call it Puerto Rico Naval Strike Rally. I'm going to leave everything unassigned to it. We're not going to assign anything automatically to this. We'll just manually assign the aircraft we just launched by going back into the airbase, selecting these 6 B-1Bs, assigning them to the PR Naval Strike Rally mission, as well as the F-22 Raptors. Alrighty, so that means whenever they take off, they will immediately head towards this rally point, and we will assign them a mission from there. You're correct, PC359 or PS359. The Poseidon is the replacement for the P3 Orion. The P3 Orion, of course, being the prop-driven anti-submarine platform that served for the last 20 or 30 years. not only in the American Navy, but not only in the American forces, but also in places like Canada. We have a picture here. We do, and here she is in all of her glory, the brand new P-8A Poseidon. All right, so we've got our bombers up in the air. We've got our Raptors out to support them. We have sniper pods on these B-1Bs. I was kind of just thinking in my head here if I wanted to actually launch some Strike Eagles as well with sniper pods, but if we've got sniper pods on the B-1Bs, we'll have some pretty decent intelligence at about 100 nautical miles out. So we'll leave that as it is. Let's move on over to Luis Munoz. Is there anything here that I need up? We've got our Hawkeyes already set for a mission. Maybe we'll launch one of the P-8 Poseidons for maritime surveillance. Assign him to the strike rally point as well. No weapons on this plane, but very good sensor suite. Don't need to do anything with the Pegasuses as of yet for refueling. At Roosevelt Roads, again, we've got some 35 Lightnings, some Growlers. Maybe we'll launch one of the Growlers too for the PR Naval Strike Rally mission. Send him out. Everything else I think is all right for now. So that'll be the thrust from Puerto Rico, at least initially here. I'm expecting to run into enemy ships fairly easily. At the same time, however, we don't want to leave the Reagan out. Now, one thing we do not have on the aircraft carrier is any weaponry with which to strike naval ships from a nice standoff range. We've got Mavericks. Oh, that's not a Maverick. We have Mavericks, which have an 8 nautical mile range. We have paveway bombs, which have an 8 nautical mile range as well. More laser-guided bombs with a 4 nautical mile range. So our strike aircraft here on the Ronald Reagan are not very well equipped for dealing with standoff naval threats. Looking at the options that we have available to us, however, we might have something here that's worth our time to re-equip them with. Let's see. Looking for the classic harpoon. No harpoons are available in inventory. We do have slammers, 12 of them available, or 12 loadouts available to us. JSOWs, what can they hit? They can hit everything. Surface ships, land structures, mobile units, runways. We have decoys. Alright, so I think what we might do here is make some changes. Let's take all of these Super Hornets. Every single one of them. Including these guys who are just readying up. Every Super Hornet that is not set as anti-air. Let's change them. Let's see, what's our best option here? We have the A variant of the JSOW. Looks like it's a bomblet weapon. Probably not the best thing for ships. Like it can't actually target ships, so that makes it easy for us. The C variant. That is the one that can attack surface ships. And it has a range of 45 nautical miles, so that'll do nicely for us. We have 24 of those loadouts available to us. Question is, do I want short range, which gives us 4 JSOWs, or long range, which gives us 24? I think we'll go with the long range, just in case. 6 hours, and those Super Hornets will be ready. In the meantime, we have roughly 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13 Super Hornets available to us with an anti-air loadout, so we're not defenseless during this time while they're reloading, but we do have to wait 6 hours before they're ready to fly and attack standoff targets. the Z-22. I think you're confused there, JRT. Yeah, Robbie's right, though. Changing these Super Hornets does have the unintended consequence of meaning that half my Super Hornets, or more than half my Super Hornets that were set up for a ground attack loadout, I can't use them for 6 hours. So it's a bit of a risk, but it's one that I'm gonna hopefully make in good faith here. Take the risk and reap the consequences if I have to, or reap the rewards. All right, so we're not going to launch any strike from the Ronald Reagan, but we are going to launch. What are we going to launch here? Let's send out a flight of 2 Growlers. We'll take care of them manually. They'll go with our Hawkeye, not only as defense but also as a little bit of added jamming support. Okay, in terms of our submarines here, they have pre-planned directions assigned to them, and one of the things I always do with a scenario when I first load into it is immediately distrust the scenario author. No offense, Robbie, no offense, but I always assume the pre-planned courses are going to send me into trouble. So we're going to take away the Jimmy Carter's pre-planned waypoint, and we're just going to move it this way. Move it down to just over the layer. It's at creep speed, that's perfect. Seawolf, again, we're going to move her in a bit of a more unpredictable manner. Hitting F2 to bring up the throttle and altitude settings. We're going at a creep speed, and we're going at just over the layer. Again, just over the layer means that not only are we just above the layer so we can hear ships that are on the surface and submarines that are above the layer, but also with our dipping sonar active. The dipping sonar will go beneath, or sorry, the towed array sonar. With the towed array sonar active, while we're moving just above the layer, it will actually dip below the layer and pick up any contacts that are underneath that temperature layer as well. All right, so the Seawolf is set. Effectively, what that allows us to do with that sensor package, let me just see if I can pinpoint it here. We have our hull sonar. We have our, here it is, towed array sonar system. What that effectively allows us to do is stay above the layer to deal with surface contacts or any submarines that are not too deep, as well as try to detect submarines that are below the layer that are trying to either go fast to a new location or trying to sneak around well outside detectability of most surface ships. All right, so the Hawaii we're going to send, well, let's just do some quick depth searching here. You can see the colors on the map are changing. The deep blue, of course, means very deep. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner in this area right here, you can see the depth of the ocean where my cursor is. And it says depth is about 12,000 feet in the dark blue area. In the light blue here, it's 6,000 feet, 8,000 feet. Okay, so even if I keep the Hawaii pretty close to the coast here in this blue area, we got a lot of depth to play with. And there's a layer here that's still roughly 400 feet under the sea. So we got plenty of depth to play with for safety, and we have a layer to play with too if we need to. All right, so we're going to send the Hawaii a bit closer to the coast, and again, on a not unexpected journey, going at creep, just over the layer. And that's that. Now let's take a look at our carrier group. Carrier group is heading this way. Let's head this way. Patrol fleet's heading that way. Let's head this way. There we go. So we'll kind of overlap our air defense ranges for our patrol fleet and our carrier group, as well as ensure that if there is a submarine in the area that is roughly exactly where our waypoints were just located, now that we've moved them, we should hopefully be a bit safer. Yeah, the Hawaii, the Hawaii is taking a risky journey by the coast of Colombia and Venezuela. But I mean, even at the shallowest point, it's still almost 9,000 feet deep. There's still a layer there. I feel like we're in good shape. Always a good thing to check though, because you don't want to make it into like this area here where it's like 33 feet of depth. That's not good for your submarine. Mark 1 eyeball. Yeah, that's kind of funny in terms of a submarine. Mark 1 eyeball, although I assume that would be part of the periscope. Is that listed here? Do we have a periscope listed? Well, Mark 1 eyeball, maybe if the periscope isn't listed here, maybe that is implied. And for the record, I do have a lot more success with sensors with a range of like 50 nautical miles that are like either radar or IRSTs than the actual Mark 1 eyeball. The Mark 1 eyeball is very inaccurate. I never, ever, ever, ever see anything with the Mark 1 eyeball at 50 nautical miles away. It's usually like 5 nautical miles. The eyeball finally picks it up. So very, very inaccurate sensor. But I guess it's the best you got to work with in some cases. All right, so that's the carrier group taken care of. I've got my 2 growlers going out. All of our ships have been re-tasked. Now the fun part, the Panama forces need to get over to Colombia's border ASAP to help defend ground forces. First thing we're going to do is set up a tanker track. We're going to do that by holding down Control and right-clicking on the map and choosing Define Rectangle, or Define Area Rectangle. I'm going to draw a rectangular box here. I'm going to add a mission. I'm going to call this Aerial Refueling Colombia. We're going to make it a support mission. Turn off 1/3 rule. And that's good enough, I do believe. We'll manually add the aircraft from the Panama air bases. I'm going to shift these around so the track makes a bit more sense in terms of location. There we are. All right. So we have our airborne refueling track set up. Let's assign some aircraft to it. Two there. Down at Howard Air Force Base, I think we had some more. Yes, we had 6 there. Let's assign all of y'all. And I think even at Tokumen we had a few as well. No. Those were Strike Eagles and Falcons. Gotcha. All right, let's go back into the mission editor. Find the airborne refueling mission. Let's say keep 2 on station at all times. We have 6 Pegasus. Is it Pegasi? What's the multiple of Pegasuses? We have 6 Pegasis available to us. We'll have 2 on station at all times. So that should keep us fairly well fueled. All right, now with the tanker track all set to go, holding down the keys Control End, that will deselect all reference points on the map. As you can see, they just got unselected. We're going to hold down Control and right click on the map again, and we're going to choose Define Rectangle, which we're going to build right here behind Kukuda. Now this is going to be just a holding area effectively. Normally, you can do a lot of different things with missions and with reference points and zones that you create. We're just going to use this rectangle box here and the rectangle box that I'll draw in the future for Oroka. We're just going to use those as kind of holding patterns for our aircraft. And then if we need to actually do something with those aircraft, we're going to do it manually as opposed to letting the mission decide what the aircraft gets to do. So that being said, let's create a fairly simple patrol mission. I'm going to call this AAW Kukuta. And we're not going to assign any units to it just yet, or any specific amount of units that we want to keep on station. We'll leave these. We're not going to investigate outside patrol area, but we do want to investigate within weapons range. And we're going to allow tankers, but we're going to change the time when they start looking for tankers down to 40% of mission fuel. All right, so that is one set there. Let's again hit Control End to drop all reference points. Then we're going to hit Control right click, create another rectangle. Add new mission. I'm going to call this AAW Oroka. It'll be a patrol, an anti-air warfare patrol. Turn off 1/3 rule, turn off investigate contacts outside the patrol area. And again, configure our tankers to look for tankers at, say, this group is slightly further away from the tanking point, so we'll say 50% of fuel. Let them break off and go tank a bit earlier. All right, so we've got our mission sets there. Technically, Pegasus is the proper noun, so there is no plural. A group could be called a constellation. Well, there you go. That is quite the answer there, Mr. Centurio. Technically, Pegasus is a proper noun to which there is no plural. Put in modern terminology, the word Pegasus has come to refer to any winged horse. Though the term pterapus, meaning winged horse plural, is also used. Perhaps a group could be called a constellation. Well, there you go. For those of you watching the VOD in the future, you'll now understand the full context for that comment. I think I'll just keep calling them Pegasuses, though. It's simpler. I'm a simple man. I like my words to be simple. All right. Looking at... We've already taken care of the tankers. Let's move back down to Howard Air Force Base. We're going to assign... Well, we have a bunch of Hornets here that are ground attack only. My main concern initially here is Airborne Defense. So let's get 4 Raptors set, assign them to Aroka, launch as a group. And let's get 4 of our Lightning up over to Kakuta, launch as a group. Now we do have 5 F-15Cs in reserve. We have no F-35s in reserve and no F-22s in reserve, aside from the ones that are currently being readied, which are 3 hours away. So leaving those F-15Cs as kind of a stopping point, a fallback position, hopefully that'll work out for us. You think that Kuznetsov might launch a strike against Panama? Well, if they do, we're going to... Well, let's start with my assumption here. We don't know where anyone is yet. We haven't hit the clock forward at all. My assumption is that Kuznetsov is here. I doubt we'll find them in here. And being out here, if they launch missiles, if they launch aircraft, whatever they do, we're going to have millions of eyes on it, from the Hawkeyes to the radars of the ships, to the radars on the ground, to all the aircraft in the air. We're going to have tons of eyes available to us. I doubt they would launch on Panama. I assume they're going to save it for whatever ships they find here, the Ronald Reagan specifically. All right, so we've got 4x4 going to each of these patrol points, 4 F-22s to Aroka, and then up here, 4 F-35s to Kakuta. We got 5 Eagles in reserve. Now, one thing I also want to consider, not necessarily immediately, but probably pretty soon, is getting some Maverick-laden Hornets in the area as well for close air support, just in case someone tries to encroach on the border. All right, so are we all set to go? Got our B-1Bs all set. We've got a few aircraft launching from the Ronald Reagan. We've got Panama all taken care of. We've got our Hawkeye on its predefined mission here. We'll leave that as it is for now. Let me make sure I've got my sounds all set, because I know this game likes to blow my eardrums out. Let's just move that down to roughly there. Make sure there's nothing missing. There we are. Okay, so if the sounds are too quiet, please let me know in chat. If the sounds are too loud, if your eardrums are getting blown out, again, please let me know. We're going to hit the go button here and see what we're up against. Okay, quickly pausing again. We've let 1 second click off the clock. Here is Orchila, as expected, surrounded by warehouses, radars. We don't know about anything on the ground just yet, but there is the island of interest with the Tu-160 Blackjack bombers. Plenty of air bases available to the Venezuelans and Russians here on the northern coast of Venezuela. Lots of radars. Pretty comprehensive coverage as well, although there is a bit of a dead zone here. If these initial spots are to be fully trusted. All right. Nothing in the way of ships spotted. We do have some unfriendly Cuban bases detected, although nothing in the briefing about them yet. So let's keep the clock going here. That is a little loud still. Bring that down a tiny bit. There. All right, so immediately we're seeing some undersea contacts as well as some unknown surface contacts. We move it up to 2 times time compression. I did have an issue on the previous stream whereby pushing the time compression too high made my audio go a bit wonky on me. Seem to be taxing my system a little bit. So if my audio gets wonky or if the stream starts to stutter at all, please let me know. I think that's a effective time compression eating up a lot of CPU cycles. PS359, my first goal here is to take out the Russian fleet. That's why I've launched my B1s, and that's why we're making kind of a beeline for the center of the Caribbean Sea here. The airbase will hold until the Russian fleet is out of the middle of the map here. That way my Tomahawks have a clear path to reach Orchilla. And in terms of the Venezuelan air bases, I don't know if I've been given permission to shoot them, although I have been given permission to destroy their air force. My assumption is that is to be an in-the-air accomplishment. Well, you can see here our radar zone is shrinking on the Hawkeye. Let's tell him to get back to a higher altitude so we maintain our full coverage. We see our first mobile SAM site in Venezuela. In terms of range, 80 nautical miles, 120 nautical miles. All right, so we'll need to be aware of those, although they don't really encroach. Well, they might encroach. Depends where he's actually located. He might actually be able to reach over the border and touch us. All right. That sound is now a little too quiet. How's the sounds for you guys? A little too quiet for you? It's going to boost it up a tiny bit here. Let me know if that's any better or worse. All right, so we've got our aircraft launching here from Puerto Rico. They're all set to run off to the rally point, the Naval Strike Rally Point mission. Nothing we need to do there. We do, however, need to watch the aircraft on the Ronald Reagan when they launch, because they do not have a mission set, and we don't want them to just sit there and keep going around in circles. 2 of the undersea contacts have been identified as biological. Nothing we need to worry about. Let me boost up the time compression a little bit extra here. Let me know if my audio starts to go on me. Our F-22s and F-35s are taking off from Panama, heading out to Colombia. There is our Growlers from the Ronald Reagan. We have aircraft that have been detected in the middle of the Caribbean Sea, roughly on this vector. Turn on offensive ECM on our Growlers. And I'm kind of thinking I want to launch an anti-submarine warfare helicopter just to make sure this is not contact we need to be worried about. The other 2 became biological contacts pretty quickly. This one's a little iffy. Launch one individually and assign him to the contact. MiG-29K, so definitely Kuznetsov is in this area. Back to the Ronald Reagan for a second here. Let's launch a 4-ship section of Super Hornets. Again, we want to be able to reach that naval force with our standoff weaponry. We also want to be able to protect any assets in the area, like our Hawkeye and our Growlers, which are heading out that way as well from MiG-29 retaliation. Sound is great, awesome. If it does start getting choppy, please let me know. I'll try to use time compression as much as I can, because I don't want to spend all the time just going at real time. Otherwise, we won't get anywhere. But, yeah, so let's start here. We also see some aircraft taking off from Venezuelan Air Force bases. Su-30 Mk2s. We're making a beeline for Cucuta, which means I'm going to start moving my Hawkeye back. Hawkeye is definitely not going to be protected for at least another hour or two while these Raptors and F-35s make their way over. I don't believe this unknown surface contact behind us is an enemy ship. I feel like that's probably a little too cheeky. I feel like they all have to be kind of in front of me here. All right, looks like our B-1Bs and our Raptors have made it into the air. Turn on our jamming for our B-1Bs. Okay, we have some surface contacts. We have some helicopters. We know that Kuznetsov is probably just south of the Dominican Republic here. Lots of contacts coming in pretty quickly. Getting some positive IDs on ships. Let's zoom in here and see what we've got. The one challenge that I've always had with this interface is the message log. When things happen, the message log just fills up so quickly it's hard to actually see what's going on. So we're gonna, whenever I see a lot of things happening in the message log, we're gonna pause and kind of try to stay as up to date as we can with it, because if we don't, we're gonna start missing things. So the Vasilbikov, what is that? It's a corvette, a Russian corvette with 4 SSN-27 Sizzlers, 200 nautical mile range. Attack target is surface ships. Okay, so this is a threat to our surface fleet. We have an unknown surface contact, bunch of unknown surface contacts, bunch of helicopters, and we finally have a good feed on the MiG-29, as well as multiple other bogies. Alright, the 4 Super Hornets that we launched for anti-air warfare capabilities have been launched from the Ronald Reagan. We'll get them out there to the deep blue sea as reliably and as quickly as we can. Where is my Pegasus? Or Poseidon, sorry, my Poseidon. Do a quick check here on the Poseidon sensors. I want this maritime surveillance aircraft to be used to detect the enemy fleet, but I don't want to put it into unnecessary danger. So 200 nautical miles on the surface search radar. ELINT is 500 nautical miles, and then 30 nautical miles on the various cameras that it has attached. So let's turn on sensors. Not a great range, at least visually speaking. It's only about 90 nautical miles from the plane right now. I assume once we get to a higher altitude, we're heading to 36,000 feet. Once we get to 36,000 feet, the range on the surface search radar should be much higher. So let's let that proceed forward. Looks like the Colombians are launching some aircraft as well. Some Super Tucanos. And some Kafirs. And my Raptors and my F-35s are still quite a ways away from where they're supposed to be going. I think maybe what we'll do is we'll jump them up to military speed. which in terms of the Raptor is super cruise, so we're going nice and fast, 1,000 knots. Watch out, the Colombians don't mess up my plan. Ah, we're allies. I trust them. Who can you trust if you can't trust your allies after all? We've picked up the Admiral Kuznetsov, the Admiral Gligorovic. Let's see, where are we here? Sterogushi. That is a guided missile frigate. Looks like she is loaded with surface attack weaponry of 80 nautical miles in range. Switchblades. Okay, so she is a threat to us, but a bit of a less of a standoff threat than the other ones that we just saw, the Sizzlers. Anti-air warfare weaponry, 5 nautical miles in range, so not a great threat to our aircraft either. Moving on over here to, well, we got another Sterogushi. Basil Bikov, we've seen him already. There she is. There she is. The target. It somehow made it out of floating dry dock. Okay, so the Admiral Kuznetsov, this is what we really want to hit early and hit hard. What is her airborne complement? 30 large aircraft, and then 24 on the deck. So roughly 30 to 50 aircraft possible. I'd probably assume closer to the lower end of that, probably 30 is more likely. And the Admiral Gligorovic, what is she? A guided missile frigate again. And what does she have? She's got some pretty decent anti-air weaponry, a range of 40 nautical miles. Got some Sizzlers, again 200 nautical miles on them for a surface attack. Okay, so there's a threat there, definitely a threat there. We look at the range of 200 nautical miles presently, again hitting Control D to bring up the range utility. Roughly reaches out to here. So we're not in range yet. We have a bit of time with which to deal with these threats. Is the Kuznetsov streaming smoke yet? I think it is. I think it is. I would not be surprised if that's how we detected it. Okay, we have some unknown contacts here approaching Oroka. Our ground units are still in place. Even if we had aircraft that were going to be in the area soon, I mean, even if we launched Maverick-laden Hornets, it would still take them over an hour to get there. Which means I should probably start the process now. Let's go back to Howard Air Force Base. We're going to launch 4 F-18Cs. I don't think I have a better option available to me, or closer to the front. So let's do that. 4 F-18Cs, launch as a group, and we're going to assign them to Aerial Warfare Kakuta, just so they get going in the right direction, and then as they get closer, I will manually take control of them and deal with their ground attack priorities. Looks like we've got more unknown mobile units just north of Kakuta. Further away than the ones at Oroka, though, so our Hornets might actually have a chance to get there in time. Lots of ground units incoming. 4x4x4x4 they come. Our Rangers are turning around and running from the border. Thank you for the follow, Taz. Good to see you, sir. Alrighty then. We are going at 5 times time compression, which is usually where I like to place things. But it's going kind of slow. Lots of things going on in the scenario. Seems like she's a pretty full one that likes to take a lot of CPU cycles. Now my B1s, they're getting close. They are getting close. Let's make sure I got my surface weaponry enabled. They don't have to actually be that close. Okay. Pause for a second before we overrun something silly. Let's move the strike rally point back here. We are a lot closer to the enemy carrier fleet than I thought we would be. Roughly 250 nautical miles away. Let's keep them safe. Same with the Raptors. They can stay back nicely. Our, where is it here? Our Poseidon, though. We want to unassign him from the rally point. We're going to manually control him out this way. Make sure our Growlers have their offensive ECM rocking. Make sure they're jamming. They be jamming. Oh, what's this? A Russian satellite. Generic satellite ESM. Air search, surface search, specific emitter ID, range 1500 nautical miles. Alright, well, we are emitting. We are emitting. I do believe. Maybe we are not emitting. Go into unit mode by hitting the 9 on the numpad. Okay, we are not emitting on the Ronald Reagan. Or the Lake Erie. Or the John Finn. Okay, looks like we're pretty silent in terms of emissions, which is good. This satellite going over us is for ESM purposes, so if we were emitting, they'd probably have a very good chance of detecting us. As of right now, though, we're pretty quiet, so I don't think we have too much to worry about in terms of being detected. That being said, we just need a positive ID on this. We don't need we have a positive ID. What we do need is a solid contact. I want to see the Kuznetsov up close and personal. Where is my Poseidon? The range on the radar's getting bigger. 120 nautical miles now. We're almost at 7,000 feet. So when he approaches his maximum altitude, we're going to have some pretty good opportunity to find that Kuznetsov from 200 nautical miles away. And then it's as simple as just launching our missiles and hoping for the best. Yeah, that is, as PS359 says, that is one of the goals that we have here, is to lose the least amount of units possible on our side. That's why my Hawkeye is running as fast as it can make it from the battle space until my Raptors and my Lightning get there. They're running as fast as they can, but it's going to take these Raptors how long? How long is it going to take you guys? 23 minutes to get there. It's not that bad, I guess, but still, it feels like forever. They need to be there now. We need them now. Thank you for the follow, LMTDN. Welcome to the stream. Almost got our helicopter out to this unknown goblin contact. The fact that we still have not classified it as biologic. I mean, we had these 2 unknown contacts here, detected as unknowns and then classified as biologic pretty quickly. This goblin, though, not fessing up what she actually is, and we haven't heard from her in 15 minutes. Whereas these biologics we hear every, well, this one's permanent or currently detected. This one has been detected for a minute and a half. So whatever this is, it's certainly not acting like a biological contact. We almost have a fix on the Kuznetsov. That uncertainty zone is getting nice and tight. Here, support hornets are still on their way out. MiG-29Ks is all we see. Well, some helicopters too, but mainly MiG-29Ks. Orchilla is launching some multi-role aircraft. Again, nothing I think I need to be worried about right now. Got our Hawkeyes up. They are undergoing strict emission control, so we'll fix that. Get their radars up. Again, I'm not really worried about encroaching upon Orchilla until the surface fleet is taken care of. So we'll just gotta keep our Hawkeyes up, keep them well defended, and maintain a defensive posture at Puerto Rico, except for whatever we're throwing at this fleet. Man, the Kuznetsov is almost a hardened contact now. We're almost there. Again, we're slowing at 5 times time compression, but things are going rather slowly. Picked up an anti-submarine helicopter in this bay here. Alright, what do we have here? We have... What are we detecting that's throwing off the alarms? So much going on. Let's clean this up a little bit here. I'm going to show range symbols for selected units. There we go. That's a bit better. Range symbols, we want to see air weapons, surface sensors, air sensors. That's good enough for now. What is throwing off our alarms? Unknown contacts crossing the border. Nothing there. Oh, here we are. Missiles being shot at 2 Colombian Kafirs. Looks like the air war is going hot. We've got another set of Kafirs intercepting these Su-30 Mk2s. Getting awfully close. Awfully close. Again, there's a huge range disparity between the weaponry on the Kafirs and on the Venezuelan and Russian aircraft. In the aerial range on these guys, if I hit the range tool with Control D again, 70 nautical miles. The Kafirs are 50 nautical miles. I mean, they shouldn't even be in this close. Someone on the Venezuelan side is getting fired. All right, more missiles out. The air battle has begun over the skies of Venezuela. Oh, there they go. The Kafirs have finally been detected and shot at. And they fight back. Alright, so Colombia is taking the fight to the Venezuelans. We are still in the process of trying to detect this carrier. And we're almost where we want to be for anti-submarine operations to commence against this unknown goblin contact. Okay, the first loss of the day has occurred. Colombians have lost their Kafir that was over this little bay here. Don't think it killed anybody in return. Let's just take a quick look here. Again, the game log moves so quickly sometimes it's hard to keep up. And we can see from the losses here, indeed, the Colombians have suffered the first loss of the day. Off to a bad start. Unknown surface contact. Not really associated with the Kuznetsov. I'd say that could be the second surface group, but I was thinking prior to the aerial action that kicked up there. This helicopter, this anti-submarine warfare helicopter, is probably associated with the second Russian surface action group. So I'm assuming they're somewhere in this area. Someplace the Hawaii would actually detect her. But it looks like I'm wrong. We have a PCFG designation, which is... looks like it's a Russian frigate, a Russian corvette. I see. The Kafirs are fighting back against the Su-30s. feel like we need to mark these as hostile. They have crossed the border, so we're going to mark them as hostile. Let's get our mechanized infantry units up here. Let's tell them to auto-attack. Our rangers, we're going to tell them to auto-attack as well. And they're off. The ground warfare has begun. Alright, and with all of these shots being fired on the ground, that's really going to fill up the game log as well. So we're going to have to take extra care to see if we can maintain our situational awareness. Okay, the helicopter has reached the Goblin point here. Let's just pause briefly. It's been a while since I've done manual anti-submarine warfare operations. Let's make sure I know what I'm doing. All right, 2,000 feet. Let's pop her down to minimum altitude. And we're going to deploy the dipping sonar. There we go. Dipping sonar has been deployed. While we're here, let's also drop a shallow passive sonobuoy. Let's actually turn on the ability to see sonobuoys. We want the underwater sensor range as well. So we've got a passive sonobuoy above the layer here. Dipping sonar is deployed for another 3 minutes. Once that's done, we will move it north and just kind of saturate this area with sonobuoys and dipping sonars. Whoa, we just had some major hits. Looks like the ground units here are actually knife fighting at the moment. Our rangers are taking some damage. Mechanized infantry, 2 mechanized infantry units are attacking our rangers. We have MLRS capabilities all the way back here. Let's actually get those out. Get them into the fight. There we go. MLRS artillery is out on those enemy units at the border. Our 4 F-18Cs that are actually on the way to support the ground units, they're still roughly an hour away. And we lost our ranger platoon. Alright. 2 of our mechanized infantry units are still heading in, though. The MLRS shots are out. Getting some good hits. Don't know if we're doing a lot of damage, though. Warhead malfunction. Looks like we're hitting within 500 to 1,000 feet of our targets. Not amazing. That being said, we are now out of MLRS missiles. That was a quick response, and we are now out of weaponry. We have an an A-50 mainstay in airborne early warning aircraft encroaching upon our carrier fleet. They're going all out to detect us. Well, I guess I'm doing the same thing in return, so that's A-okay. I think we have the Kuznetsov picked out here. Let's take a look at our B1s. Take a look at the LRASM again. We've got 144 of them in the air at the moment. Is there any limit to... No, there isn't. Okay, so we're at the right height. We've got plenty of range. My Poseidon is, well, gonna have them hard locked probably in about another 80 nautical miles or so. Alright, the MLRSs are still hitting, but they're only very few of those rockets are actually doing any damage. They're mainly hitting about 500 to 1,000 feet away. Either way, the American mechanized infantry forces are on their way in to combat them. Badly outnumbered. Badly outnumbered. They have their work cut out for them. All right, moving on back to our helicopter here where we're doing anti-submarine work. Let's move him up here. In about 13 seconds, the dipping sonar will be done. And those are just missile warnings for Colombian and Venezuelan forces, which are currently engaged in aerial warfare. Helicopter's moving on. We'll drop a sonobuoy in a few minutes. Sinking the Kuznetsov would be a major blow to Russia. That is absolutely correct. It also opens up this entire channel in the Caribbean Sea for me to fire weaponry, mainly my tomahawks, which is what I want to use to attack Orchila. What is the scenario here? Let's just take a quick recap. I realize some people probably joined halfway through. Let me just do the intro again very quickly to make sure we're all on the same page. Once again, welcome to the stream, guys. We started about an hour and a half ago. We're playing the most recent Command Live DLC called King of the Border. It's available on the stream. Sorry, it's available on the Steam store, as well as the Matrix Game Store as of January 31st. So if you're interested in what you see, you can own it for yourself if you're a Command Modern Air Naval Operations player yourself. We are playing this scenario through. We are on the blue side, so the American side supporting the Colombians against the Venezuelans and Russians. Our goal is to destroy 2 nuclear bombers that are stationed here, 2 Russian nuclear bombers that are stationed here on Orchila, as well as the Russian naval forces in this area, as well as the Venezuelan and Russian air forces that are encroaching upon the border towns of Cucuta in the north and Aroca in the south. So we've got forces in Panama, we've got forces on the USS Ronald Reagan in the Caribbean Sea, and we have forces in Puerto Rico with which to accomplish that task. Now we are very close to launching our strike on the Admiral Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov is here. Our B-1 bombers are just back here, about 250 nautical miles away. I'm waiting for a hard contact that this P-8 is hopefully going to get for us very safely and very soon so we can launch that strike. All right. Moving forward. American ground forces moving in to intercept. Looks like they're almost upon the mechanized infantry of the Venezuelans. Yeah, no worries, Arno. Welcome to the stream, by the way. We're going to be going for about another hour and a half. I have a hard stop at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, so we're at about 2:30 now. Oh, there we go. The battle has begun. The battle has begun. We are horribly outnumbered. Of course, the first wave of enemy ground forces, coupled with a second wave just behind them. We have some incoming F-18s with ground attack options equipped. Well, there we go. There goes our first set of strikers. We have F-18s on the way in, but they're too far away to affect an outcome right now. We're just really trying to delay is all we're trying to do. The Colombian forces in the area of Aroca as well don't seem to have a lot of hitting power. There are Colombian Air Force units, Super Tucanos. Yeah, there goes our second mechanized infantry platoon. That was a valiant effort, but unfortunately I don't think they did any damage. Or if they did, it was very minor. Alright, so that is that. Let's move back to the fun part here. The part that's going well for us. That being said, our helicopter is ready to drop another sonobuoy. And drop an active sonobuoy deep under the layer. And keep our helicopter going. Oh, we're getting close. Our Poseidon's almost in surface range, or surface radar range of the Kuznetsov. We are not being challenged by anybody. So we're going to let them keep on moving in. Our Growlers are still on their way in, doing some jamming for us. We've got our airborne warfare flight of 4 Super Hornets slightly behind them. And there we go, lost another mechanized infantry platoon. Got missiles on their way into our mechanized infantry platoon, not much we can do about it. Unfortunately, they're on their own for the moment. Hang on, let's pause for a second here. Darn it, our Raptors are heading to refuel. They are heading to refuel. Bring our Lightning back to cruise speed. Our tankers are way back here. Their airborne refueling track is right here. Our Raptors made it 3/4 of the way to their patrol zone, then decided they ran out of fuel, so they have to go back and tank up. That's unfortunate. So we're not moving very fast here. I thought we were going to have some Raptors and F-35s on station pretty quickly. And to be fair, F-35s are on station, but they're also getting down to a fuel state where they're going to need to refuel soon as well. Well, post-apocalypse, if we look at the Super Tucanos they have here on the ground, surprisingly enough, some of them are outfitted for anti-air warfare. So those are not the ones we're interested in, but the ones that are, I think there's some in the air that are ground attack. Let me find them. They had some decent ground attack bombs available to them when we looked at them earlier. Definitely not a heavy attack aircraft, but certainly good enough for light work. Mechanized infantry, that kind of thing, which is definitely what we're being rushed with here over the border. So I think if the AI uses them appropriately, we should have a decent effect on stemming the tide. Yeah, there's some Griffin laser-guided bombs. Range of 6 nautical miles. Surface ships, land structures, mobile units, runways. Damage points 130.5. So more than enough to deal with the ground units we're seeing. 500-pound general-purpose bombs. If the AI uses them appropriately, they're certainly closer than my jets, and they're certainly capable of at least doing some damage here. I hope they do that soon, because, well, we're running out of ground units around Oroka. It looks like in this case, though, the anti-air Tucanos are actually challenging, or at least pointing towards the enemy Su-30s, which should be a death sentence for them. Unfortunately, which is why my Raptors and my Lightning were key in getting over here quickly, but I seem to have misjudged the fueling of my fighters. Alrighty. Let's see, we're almost there. Okay, we've got a hard radar contact on the Vasil Bykov. We're almost there on the Kutuzov, or not Kutuzov, the Kuznetsov, sorry. I know too many Russian names, apparently. Get them all mixed up. And another striker's down. We are very close to having a very solid contact here. We've got some Su-33s being launched. Oh, and we are jammed. We are jammed. That's no fun. Okay, we've got a solid contact. Stopping the sim. Where are my B1s? There they are. Let's unassign them from the mission by hitting the U key. We're just going to send them out this way. And say... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ships. We're going to start with the Admiral Kuznetsov. She is the primary target. We're going to launch. Probably a bit overkill. Probably a bit overkill. What do you think? 48? Let's do 60. We'll fire 60 on the Kuznetsov. No. Let's go all out. 72. Why go 40% when you can go 50%? Let's launch those. See what happens. I mean, to be honest with you, with the problems she's had recently, you probably just have to look at her harshly and she's going to sink. Alright, so we are jamming from these Growlers. No, we are not. Now we're jamming from the Growlers. At least we should be. Go into unit mode, hit numpad 9. We are not jamming yet. We'll do it manually then. More strikers down. Yeah, Arno 1940, there are a ton of scenarios out there that give you the option to do pretty much anything. There's official scenarios like this Command Live DLC that we're playing right now. There is also a community scenario pack, which is updated every month, if I'm not mistaken, with brand new scenarios that the community has put together themselves. And I do believe it's got 500 scenarios in it, I want to say. A few hundred at the very least, of varying time frames, varying qualities, varying sizes. There's a ton of freely available scenarios out there, and a lot of that's curated through the Steam Workshop and also via the Warfare Sims website. It's there's a ton of scenarios out there. I don't know if there's a dedicated World War III, especially if you're looking for like a modern 2020 scenario. But there's definitely a lot of scenarios out there that cover that kind of idea. Any time frame you can think of from 1950 to 2020 and beyond. It's as I've said before many times, Command is a great sandbox. If you can think of a scenario that you want to make, it has a mission editor built into it that allows you to effectively put your ideas into practice and build that mission as you see fit. So it's a very, very scalable, very, very nice solution, and there's a ton of user generated content for it, as well as the official expansions like the one you're seeing here, the official live DLCs and the official expansions. All right, so we have, well, a metric ton of LRASMs in the air. Looks like I don't even know what that looks like a bomb bursting in the air. A clawfish, a crayfish, a spider, a very hairy spider. All right, the P8 has accomplished its job. Let's just tell them to wait here. Ground combat is still ongoing. Enemy forces have approached the city, but they have not made entry yet. Looks like we might take this first wave and beat it back. That being said, my F-18s are still pretty far away. They're going to be there in time to fight these unknown mobile contacts, which I'm assuming are ground attack forces. Getting down to this area is not going to be easy. We only have 2 available left to us. Let's get them up. Probably should have done this a while back. We're going to assign them to the AAW Oroka patrol, so they head in the right direction initially. And those Mavericks and those JDAMs will get over there ASAP, which will take an hour, but they'll be there eventually. Hopefully not too late. Looking at our helicopter. Let's drop another sonobuoy. We'll do passive deep. Okay, 72 missiles out on the Kuznetsov. Feeling pretty good. I can't imagine they're going to shoot those all down. Our P8 is still flagging formation. We've got Raptors and Growlers back here. Where are our B1s? Here they are. It's doing a nice little circling. They're not jamming. Do I have to turn it on individually again? I do. Turn off MCON, turn on offensive ACM. Do it for all 6 B1s. Let's just turn on, whoa, nope. Offensive ACM, not radar. That was a mistake. That's okay though. 2 out of the 6 B1s are jamming. So hopefully that'll allow our weaponry to get in closer. Don't have the patience to put all 6 of them on individually, so we'll just leave that as it is. Yeah, that P8 is leading the charge. He's got the best seat in the house. Best seat in the house. Here, maybe what I'll do with this I'm probably going to forget about this helicopter, so I'm just going to take him off his movement order and just tell him to manually attack this goblin, which means he will search throughout this entire unknown area to find him. And once he finds him, he'll attack. I figured it'd be fun to do some anti-submarine warfare hunting, but with a scenario this size, eventually I'm going to forget about him and he's not going to find his target. So it's probably better we automate him and let him do it himself. Are these upgraded B1Bs with new radars? I don't know. Let's check. These are from 2018. Looks like the most recent B1B component in the database, so I'd assume so. Here's a list of their sensors. I would assume these are the most recent version, probably the ones that you're thinking of. Yep, Sabre GS right there. The best of the best, the cream of the crop. Alrighty, let's move our growlers back. They're a little too close. Don't want to forget about them. Are they jamming too? I think I already set these guys to jam. Yeah. In unit mode you can see the jam, in group mode you can't see the jam, which is very confusing. No airborne units that my 4 Super Hornets need to engage, though. They're just kind of hovering here and loitering, waiting for something to shoot. These MiG-29Ks seem to be in a holding pattern as well. Russian surface group is heading south. No worries yet. All right, the first attack here at Oroka has been kicked back. It was fought in a way by the... we still have some mechanized infantry units in the area with the Colombian units as well. So that was a success, even though we did sustain some definite losses. The Star Trek Red Alert sound, indeed it is. You know, I haven't checked if there's a user-made sound pack for this, but I do agree with one of the comments I get a lot on my YouTube channel for command videos is, why the heck do you keep playing that darn Red Alert sound? And I do agree it does get annoying over time. I don't know if there's a sound pack out there for user-created sounds or not, but I do agree it is a little grating on the nerves at times, especially in these large scenarios where you've got a lot of stuff going on and you hear it an awful lot. All right, so we're going at 5 seconds time compression. I know it feels like we're going pretty slow here, but 5 seconds time compression has taken very few. It's been a hard time to compress all this all this scenario. It's running slower than I would expect it to. I do have a pretty powerful computer these days, but she is running pretty slow. So we are at 5 seconds time compression, trying to kick it into high gear, but it's a bit slower than I thought it would be. We got some Su-30s encroaching over the border here in the north of Colombia. My Raptors are getting fueled. My Lightning are available to us. Let's unassign them from their patrol zone, get them going north. See if they can't intercept those Su-30s. Again, all the alarm sounds you're hearing are just the AI forces being attacked by Venezuelan forces. See missiles out on these Super Tucanos. Not much hope in competing against these Su-30s, I think. But they're giving it their all. My LRASMs, 72 of them are still on their way in. If these 72 missiles take out the Kuznetsov, then I think we'll just clean everything else up with whatever's remaining on board our B-1s. What is the difficulty and complexity level of the scenario? It is maxed out. So it's very difficult and very complex. The reason it's kind of giving me pause here because I know that 72 missiles should be able to take out the Kuznetsov. And I'm thinking that's pretty easy. Pretty easy. So what is going on here that is going to make it much more difficult? Again, my plan here is to wipe out these forces, these naval forces. Kill the Tu-160s on Orchilla, and then just kind of hold whatever ground-based forces off that we can hold off here. It's going well so far. There's a Boeing 707 tanker encroaching on Colombian airspace. My F-35s will deal with that eventually, although I kind of want them to deal with the Su-30s that are pushing in first. Bigger threat at the moment. Oh, the no-fly zones took a lot of reference points, eh? I wonder if that is it. I wonder if that's it. A very nice job on the. I mean, I've played around in the mission editor very little, but when I have tried to do no-fly zones, they are a nightmare to get looking this pretty. Very nice job getting them to look that nice. I can imagine that took you a while. Did you ever locate the Gladiator SAM battery? I believe I saw one of those here. Yeah, there's one here on the northwestern side of Venezuela. There's a Grizzly battery here. Another Grizzly battery here. I assume there's something on Orchilla Island as well. I doubt the Russians would place 2 nuclear bombers on this tiny island without some sort of air defense. So I'm guessing at least an S-300, probably an S-400. I would not be surprised. All right, our first set of ground attack Hornets are almost the station. We're going to unassign them from the mission. We're going to tell them to attack these mobile units. And they are going to rush over there and do their worst. At the same time, they may take out this Boeing 707 tanker for us, which I would not be upset about. Alrighty. So, 72 LRASM missiles, roughly 30 nautical miles from the Kuznetsov. Again, Control D brings up the range finding tool. 5 days of work. Wow. What happens if you try to enter a no-fly zone? It does not allow you to do so. So you can plot through, and it will just route around. It will not allow you to go into a no-fly zone. We're almost there. Almost there. Running at 600 knots at 30 feet above sea level. Very low observability missile. I wonder how long it'll take before they discover they're under attack. Kuznetsov's still going at 5 knots. That tells me she probably hasn't seen the threat yet. Passing pretty close to the Vasilbikov, though, just northeast of her. I'd assume that will be their picket that discovers this this missile attack. No change in speed yet. Looking good, looking good. I'm hesitantly positive that we're going to sink the carrier. Can you feel the tension? You can cut it with a knife. Okay, now they've detected me. He's starting to turn. He's going to start speeding up. Good luck, Mr. Kuznetsov. Break an engine. So that was roughly, what, like 20 nautical miles away they were finally detected? That is brutal. Brutal for him, great for us. How did the Goblin get marked as hostile? When I wanted the helicopter to manually... Oh, man, nothing's going to get shot down. Oh, they shot down 2. Oh, can you hear all the hits? Can you hear all the hits? Yeah, there we go. All right, so now the question is, can we retask these missiles to attack other ships? If I pick, say for example, this guy here, he's unassigned. I can't hit F1 to give him an attack order. No, I can't retask him. Shoot. That would have been awesome. Unfortunately not. So we've sunk the Kuznetsov. I think I missed the sunk message. Let's just take a look at the scoring log here. What have we killed? We have destroyed 1 Admiral Kuznetsov, 13 MiG-29s, 8 Su-33s, 5 Ka-27 Helixes. All right, so strike codename Overkill has successfully destroyed the Kuznetsov, and we have clean up an IL-7, which means, because I'm not a fan of a lot of micromanagement, we're going to hit F1, and we're going to band select all the ships. And they're going to do their worst. Actually, band select these guys down here too. Why not? We know they're hostile. Plenty of ships left. Now that Operation Overkill has completed. What are these missiles doing? They're looking for new targets, eh? Can I assign them one? Cannot participate in attack. Doesn't look like it. All right. That is positive. But yeah, the submarine here was marked as hostile because I hit F1 to tell it to auto attack. The unknown contact, as it was yellow before. That makes it assume it's hostile. And also it starts a helicopter on a predefined mission set to discover where the submarine is here, because it needs to have a solid contact before you can attack the submarine. So it's going through the entire uncertainty zone here to try to figure out where that helicopter is. Again, I was doing it manually, and then I realized I'm going to mess it up by forgetting about the helicopter, so may as well have it automatically take care of that mission. All right. I don't think we have a threat from these LRASMs hitting the Ronald Reagan. I feel like they're going to run out of range well before that time. That being said, let's take a look at our B1s. If I can find them in this mess. There's our Poseidon. He's still going along nicely. Keeping our eyes in the sky. Our Raptors are back there doing nothing, as are our Growlers, just jamming away. There they are. 46 LRASMs left. All right. Well, that's enough for now. Let's move these B1s back to a safe position. And we can probably move in our... Well, do we even need to move in our F-18s to take out these remaining aircraft? I mean, they're not... they don't have great range on them. They're probably gonna have to rebase. Yeah, we may as well take them out now. If they rebase to the mainland, they'll just be a thorn in our side later on. So let's take them out now. Let's do that. Oh, what are we missing here? We've got Su-30s that are very close to our Lightning. Let's tell them to attack before we lose our Lightning. That would be bad. Yeah, I was very surprised, PS359. They didn't manage to fire anything back at us aside from their point defense weapons. And I think by that I mean mainly their guns. I didn't see any missiles launch. All right. The F-35s have taken out those Su-30s. More MiG-29Ks have been... oh no, these guys are going to land. Let's move our F-35s up north here. Take out the A-50 mainstay. Ooh, Arno 1940 with the question, what fighter you guys think is better, the F-22 or F-35? I will tell you my opinion in-game, and it might not be the popular one. I really enjoy the F-35, and I'll tell you why. It's not because of the weapons it carries, because it doesn't carry as many as the Raptor, especially when you're in an internal-only configuration, but it's because of the optical systems that it has available to it. The IRST, I believe, is the main component of that. 100 nautical mile range on it. Great for identifying ground targets, air targets, stealth targets, without giving away your position by actively radiating your radar. Very, very powerful in the sense that you can gain a lot of intelligence by staying completely dark. The Raptor does not have the optical component. It's still very, very, very capable platform, carries more weapons, but it doesn't have that optical component that allows you to use it effectively as a kind of like an intelligent, fast-moving drone. Very much like my F-35s in-game. Now, in the real world, that's a different question. I'll leave that up to the experts. But in-game, I do like my F-35s. All right, our F-18s are encroaching, or getting close to attack range on these mobile targets, assuming they're mechanized infantry again. Venezuelan mechanized infantry. The LRASMs are out on the remaining surface targets. We are in a bit of a lull. Again, we're going at 5-second time compression. Things are going kind of slow, so we're doing the best that we can here. We'll move the P-8 in a bit. MiG-29s are making their way to the land bases. Let's actually do a manual attack. Get them to kick it up to afterburner. Close that gap. Getting the bird's eye view on the scenario. Make sure no one's sneaking by. Yeah, nothing in the south of Colombia. All the action is focused in the Caribbean Sea and the north of Venezuela. Multi-role aircraft just here north of Orchilla. Our Hawkeyes are keeping them honest, though. Doesn't look like they're interested in pushing up towards us. I think they're more defensive than anything else at this point in time. I mean, if I was the Russians, I would expect an attack on Orchilla, so they've taken up defensive postures, and I don't think they're going to encroach on Puerto Rico at all. That would be a huge faux pas. Okay, we're going to try 15-second time compression. If my audio goes to junk because the CPU is having trouble keeping up, please let me know. What was that? Oh, we're ground attacking. Never mind on the time compression. Let's see how the ground attack turns out here. We have Mavericks out and some JDAMs. Getting positive classification as mechanized, as these units as mechanized infantry. Looks like some good hits. Taking out one unit at a time. Yeah, more Mavericks out. JDAMs are doing some good work as well. We're out of Mavericks. We've got no weaponry left. All right, so that's it for this group of 4 Hornets in their ground attack roll, doing some pretty sizable damage, which should hopefully allow us to push back this attack in the north around the city of Cucuta. LRASM still encroaching upon the enemy fleet. Let's hit time compression up to... Actually, before we do that, let's take care of the F-35s before I forget about them. We have an Su-34 fullback going at full afterburn. That makes me nervous. Okay, we're going to engage offensive on the A-50. If I was a betting man, and if I were to try to plot this guy's course, so he's probably heading towards this patrol fleet. Would that be accurate? Maybe we'll forget about the MiG-29Ks. Maybe what we'll do is we'll unassign this group of 4 Super Hornets from their task of chasing down the Kuznetsov survivors. We'll have them intercept the fullback. Probably a better course of action. Sam has been detected. Yeah, got a little too close to the enemy ships. Let's go down to minimum altitude afterburner. My bad, my bad. Sorry, boys. All right, so that should hopefully keep us safe. Don't think they're tracking me. They're at 100 feet. They did make the right altitude adjustment, but they didn't actually track where I was going. So that's good. Good news, everybody. We survived to fight another day. But to cruise speed, we're going back to high altitude. They're engaged defensive. They are now off defensive. It's going back heading this way towards the expected flight path of the fullback. You saw some Mark 1 eyeball contacts, eh? What would that be from? Not those units. All of these guys are hostile, I can guarantee you that. So I'll mark them as hostile. Multiple multi-role aircraft have been launched. And we're still looking pretty good with our B1s. We've got 46 LRASMs left. So if we don't finish everybody off here, we'll take another crack at it shortly. All right, moving the clock forward. F-35s are attacking the A-50. I assume the A-50 is probably what has us spotted in some cases. Well, the surface search radar isn't actually long enough ranged. Well, the Valery Bykov has been destroyed. Or Vasil Bykov, sorry. The northernmost contact here. Success. LRAS MOP, please nerf. The remaining helicopters and fighters from the Kuznetsov are making a beeline for the coast. Trying to find an airbase to land at. Sergei Gorshkov. She a guided missile frigate. Probably loaded to the gills with missiles that will ruin my day. And we got Sizzlers, 200 nautical mile range. Yeah. A threat we need to deal with. Okay, the A-50's been shot down by our F-35s. Our F-35s are heading back to the refuel point. We're going to reassign them to the mission for airborne warfare around Kukuda, so that once they're done refueling, they can head back to the mission point here and be of use to us later on. These fullbacks have turned away. Why would they turn away? Hang on. Hang on a second. Let's check the database entry for the fullback. An attack aircraft, of course. My question is, what was she going to attack? So what options do we have on this Su-34? We've got Kledges, range of 6 nautical miles, not a big deal. Kryptons, range of 60 nautical miles, not a big deal. We have regular dumb bombs, which are not a big deal. What else do we have that could possibly reach out and touch somebody? Kazoos, 60 nautical mile, not a big deal. I'm not seeing anything that can reach out and touch me that's going to make me too afraid of these fullbacks, to be honest with you. We can see here from the range on the just on the surface radar, or the surface weapon range, 60 nautical miles is actually what they're limited to, so they are probably set up with some sort of attack weapon that can attack ships. They just decided to turn around early. My assumption was if they're turning around, they probably just fired something. Unfortunately, I think that was a miscalculation. I think they're just either they've lost their contact and they're turning around, or they're just on patrol. I've been wrong before, though, so we'll keep our eyes on them. Alright, I'm looking very much forward to having a clear sea corridor here. Very much forward to having a clear sea corridor. Other ASMs are encroaching upon their targets. The Grigorovich is about to sink. But what is he sinking about, you may ask? Well, we shall see shortly. Oh, he's actually returning fire. Shooting down my LRASMs. Oh dear. That's not how it's supposed to go. What about the Steragushi? It has short-range capabilities for anti-air warfare. We'll see if any of those come into play here. One shot down. Boom. Alright, one Steragushi down. Second one is being attacked here by multiple missiles from multiple angles. Game log is going crazy with infantry combat, ground-based combat. Another Steragushi down. Awesome. So what do we have left here in the middle of the Caribbean Sea? We have the Admiral Kuznetsov, which took a lot more weaponry than we thought it would. More weapons are out from the B-1s to deal with that. More LRASMs. Wow, we are really getting close. That's all right. That's all right. We're good. We're stealthy. We're jamming. They don't know we're here. Now, what is left? We have more missiles on their way towards the Gorshkov, as well as its escorts, the Boyan mods down here. All right, so far the plan is going perfectly. The perfect plan is proceeding perfectly as planned. We have taken out the Kuznetsov. The very first casualty of the battle for the Russians was the Kuznetsov here in the Caribbean Sea. The rest of the forces supporting the Kuznetsov should be down in the next 20 minutes or so. The second Russian surface fleet should also be down shortly. We have a lot of capabilities in the area, especially those B-1s with about 30 LRASMs left. A ton of capability still in the area. One thing that's making me a little bit nervous here, this Goblin contact has not been solidified. We have one helicopter and I might assign a second one to it. But happy things are ahead of us because Puerto Rico now has a complete line of strike. Puerto Rico now has a complete transit passage availability to it to reach the carrier group effectively. We have a ton of P-8 Poseidons, some of which are armed with anti-submarine warfare capabilities, which can get over here and help work down the subcontact quite well once the corridors opened up. Just sanitize what's left in the middle of the Caribbean Sea here, and it should be easy peasy. Easy peasy. There are some multi-role aircraft that are going at pretty high speed, though. Wonder where they're heading. Wonder if they're going after the LRASMs that are still flying by. Hey, Robbie7979, thank you. Yeah, I say that with a hint of I'm not sure if you're prepping me for some great turn of events that's coming up that I don't know about yet. So thank you for the compliment, but I will keep my wary eye towards this scenario that you have designed in hopes that I will not be fooled. Looking at the score, we've got an average score. 555 is the score right now. We have destroyed, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4 ships, 5 ships, about 30 aircraft and helicopters, and we have also taken our toll on the Venezuelan ground forces, both around Cucuta and Aroca. The difficulty is yet to come. I figured it wasn't going to be that easy. When you run into a scenario that has a full difficulty bar and a full complexity bar, and within the first hour of the scenario you've sunk the major Russian naval components, I figured there'd be more to it than that. All right, so we are still floating around here, waiting for the LRASMs to hit. Looks like the enemy fighters are actually getting into the game. I actually need to move this Hawkeye back. A little too close. Super Hornets are RTB. Actually, yes, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? We need more aerial warfare capabilities. Launch 2 more. Launch 2 Super Hornets from the Reagan. We need to sanitize the area of fullbacks. Looks like they're on their way towards our Hawkeye. I hope this LRASM's about out of fuel. It is. Okay, good. I was just a little worried. What if these LRASMs actually pick up the Ronald Reagan? Would they be smart enough not to explode? Ground force wise here at Cucuta, mechanized infantry of the Venezuelan forces is continuing to move in, but we really did a number on them with our Hornets. It was good to see. Let's keep an eye on our second set of Hornets, which are not quite to the battle space yet. Here they are. Long way to go. Let's move this tanker track up a little bit. Get them a little closer. Support Oroka better. Here we're going to unassign them from the mission. We're going to tell them to auto attack. Oh, that's a reference point. Let's tell them to auto. No, I don't want to move the reference point. I want to attack. Why? Let me make sure I got my Super Hornets connected. They're connected. F1 to auto attack. There we are. That's better. Oh, they're heading to refuel point. Just in the nick of time. Refueling is the bane of my existence. Aerial refueling. It always seems to crop up right when I need it not to crop up. Missiles out. Okay, we'll take care of that in a second here. I just want to make sure I didn't actually break my tanker mission by moving that one reference point. I did break it. That's unfortunate. Let's move that back here. There we go. Tanker mission has been fixed. Let's actually centralize it a bit more. It's too close to Cucuta and too far away from Oroka. There, that should do. That's a bit better. Okay, so we have a Hawkeye that's detected incoming weaponry. A SAM. Okay, there. That's the enemy ships firing on our LRASMs. Nothing unexpected. Well, they survived the initial attack. Looking up north here. The Admiral Kuznetsov is again accounting pretty well for himself. Let's stop this silly child's play of sending 4 missiles at a time. We're going to unassign from the attack mission by hitting U. Going to do a manual attack by hitting Shift F1. And choosing all 8 LRASMs. And all 4 LRASMs. We'll send 12 at this guy up north, and that should take care of that. Enough of this child's play. Let's commence Operation Overkill version 2.0. Oh, we might actually get lucky on this one ship down here. 2 LRASMs left. 1 down, 1 left. Come on, big money. Ah, they got him. They got him. Oh, hang on. Whoa. Did we just actually took out the ship that was right here. I missed that. So I launched 12 missiles on him at absolutely the worst possible time because he was about to die. Yeah, there he is, Admiral Kuznetsov. That's unfortunate. I just wasted 12 LRASMs. Got 29 left though, which means Shift F1 to manually attack. Remove the missile from the targeting list. We will send... What do we have left here? We have 3 here. Let's send 3 against him. 4. There we go. 7 should do on the Gorshkov. On the Boyan, we'll send another 4. And Mr. Other Boyan will send 4. Actually, let's be very sure on the Gorshkov, and we'll send another 4 there. So 10 on the Gorshkov and 4 on each of the remaining Boyans. One of the things we do need to be aware of is the fact there's so many aircraft in the area, they might have a chance to shoot down our missiles as well. Back to the Reagan, we've got 2 Hornets in the air. Move them back to these fullbacks. They seem to have slowed down a bit. I don't know if they're actually trying to intercept somebody, but we will not take any chances. Yeah, sorry Jamaica, you're about to receive a full salvo of LRASMs. I can't, like, detonate these, can I? Magazines. Hold position. No. Serious buzzkill. That is for sure. Actually, hopefully they don't go towards Cuba. I don't think they're not gonna reach Cuban airspace, are they? Nah. That's the path they're on. They're fine. They're fine. 'Tis but a minor international incident. It's okay. I mean, we've just annihilated the Russian surface fleet and their only aircraft carrier. I'm sure Cuba does not want to have anything to do with us right now. Okay, so Poseidon is... Let's just get him in the fight, get his radar a bit closer. My Raptors are still available. Let's move them on down. Take them off the strike rally mission. Move them on south, see if we can actually do something against these multi-rolls that are rushing right at us. It's actually a good point. Let's move our Poseidon a bit further back. My B1s, I think they're safe. I don't think these multi-roll fighters are coming for them. And we actually only have 10 LRASMs left. Hello, Hellcat1. Welcome to the stream, and thank you for following Breachhard von Gunning. Much appreciated. Welcome to the stream, guys. Alrighty. So we got about 30 minutes left in the stream. I do have a hard cut in half an hour at 4 p.m. What we've done so far today is we've played the first hour of this scenario. There's 47 hours left, just under 2 days left. And I have it on reliable information that having sunk the Kuznetsov and the majority of the Russian fleet, that there's still a lot to come and the hard part is still ahead of me. So we will not be able to get through the scenario in this one sitting. I will save it in case I have the chance to play it again and continue it on for you. That being said, I think we're in pretty good shape right now. I don't see many major threats. Maybe I've lost an aircraft or two, but I don't think... Yeah, actually, let's get the B-1s back. Same with the Poseidon, and get the Raptors in there. I really do think, though, that these multi-role aircraft are going to go after the missiles, not necessarily my aircraft. Evening, Captain Pugwash. Afternoon, I should say. Afternoon, Captain Pugwash. Oh, the Su-57s are missing right now, eh? Yeah, no, the Su-57 is a very capable aircraft. Very, very capable. Whoop. Alright, so our Raptors are heading down towards these unknown multi-role contacts. Our missile strike towards the remaining surface ships of the Russian Navy is underway. Let's tell these two Hornets to engage these fullbacks. They'll proceed to afterburner, full afterburner, and make that happen. Our Hawkeye needs to keep running because he's being chased. And everything else is looking a-okay? Maybe? Maybe it's looking a-okay. My question is, I had two Hornets that were close by. Are they refueling? Are they refueling? There they are. No, those are 4 Hornets. Those are the ones that were up north at Kakuta. The 2 Hornets that were down south, they are refueling too. They're almost ready to go. Then they'll head back to Oroka and take on those ground units. Whoa, 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 where are we going here? Apparently, the U.S. Mechanized Infantry Delta Group has invaded Venezuela. We have a problem, guys. We've just invaded Venezuela. Okay, let's turn them around. Bring them on back. Bring them on back. We've already used our MLRSs down south here. We have not used our MLSs up north because we actually haven't needed to. We can probably take the remainders here with our mechanized infantry forces. Slight mistake, no one will notice. Yeah, I'm sure Venezuela's in a very understanding mood. We just went for a little sightseeing tour. Wanted to see if they were awake. Still have not classified this this unknown contact. Haven't seen it for an hour and 37 minutes. Still have not seen it. Okay, so let's take care of this. We're gonna right click on the map with the control key held down, define an area, and we're going to kind of make it fit here. I'm going to say add new mission. We're going to make this anti-submarine warfare. We're going to go Jamaica, because Jamaica is just above us here, just to the north. It'll be a patrol mission, and we're going to create a place for our P8 Poseidons to go and let out some steam. Okay, so that is created. We encompass the entire contact there. Let's go back to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we're going to launch 1. Assign him to the mission. And go. Now he's got a ways to travel. Roughly 400, 500 nautical miles. So he'll get there in about 2 hours. Maybe an hour and a half. In the meantime, I'm going to assign another helicopter from this patrol fleet to that section as well. See what we can find. Well, these multi-role aircraft have turned around. I don't know what they lost, if they lost contacts that they were going after, or if they just ran out of fuel. My Raptors are zoning them out a little bit if they want to chase my B1s or the P8s. So even if they decide to come north a bit further, I think we have them right where we want them. Our Hawkeye is still being chased, just barely in anti-air weaponry range of this Su-34. Super Hornets will be there shortly, hopefully in enough time to save our Hawkeye. LRASM's 15 going for the Gorshkov, 4 for each of the Buyans. The air attack down south has seemingly stopped. We do have our Raptors on station down south. We do have our F-35s getting refueled. Again, they're still fully armed and ready to go. They just need a bit more gas. And our mechanized infantry is moving to intercept this group. All right, the P-8 that we launched for anti-submarine warfare over here by the Surface Patrol Group has just launched. It's going to be there in 30 minutes, 1 hour. It's going to be there in 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Roughly 1 to 1.5 hours. So we got some time to wait for that P-8 to get there. That being said, the ground combat is hot and heavy down by Aroka. Ooh, that's not by Aroka. It's up here at Kakuna. The remaining forces that we hit with our Hornets are now engaging our Striker platoon. Sorry, the Mechanized Infantry Alpha Group. We've lost one Striker. We do have MLRSs available for us, but I don't really want to use them. Seems like a bit of overkill if there's just 5 units here. Although we are taking a beating. That is unfortunate. No air support in the area. I guess we got to do it. MLRS is out. All right, let's see you dodge this. Boom. All right, we're getting some good hits. Doing a bit of damage. Not enough though. They're still alive. Well, we got more missiles happily. 12 in reserve. 8 out in the air right now. There we go. Not in time to save one of our Striker units though. There we go. Okay, the assault has been quashed. It's been quashed, it's been squashed, it has been eliminated. We have AMRAAMs out on the fullbacks. Looking good so far. Start to dodge. There we go. Survey says 1 down. There we go. 2 down. Nice. All right. Back to base you go, boys. Let's get our Hawkeye back out here. LRASMs are still inbound. Our Raptors are still in the area. Looks like these multi-role aircraft have rediscovered their interest in our missile attack, probably because these helixes have detected them. Starting helicopters. These homeless helicopters heading back to their mainland bases now that the carrier's dead have foiled or tried to foil our stealthy missile strike. Okay, let's see how this goes. I mean, I don't think they can survive this. I think we've saturated the area enough that they're not going to be able to shoot down everything. But I have been surprised before. There's definitely a component of RNG that is at work here. Sometimes you get all the dice rolls you want, sometimes you get none of them. Alright, so the first 4 missiles look like they're going down pretty fast. Yeah, there they go. 11 still on their way towards the Gorshkov, 4 to each Boyan. Looks like one of the groups of LRASMs is lagging a bit behind. Yeah, speaking to the Su-57s, Roby, I would be interested in playing with them and against them too. I think that would be a nice addition to the scenario, even if it isn't completely futuristically accurate. I would be interested in playing against them, especially with the F-35s there, which have a lot of the same optical capabilities. I would say go for it. Full support. Full support. All right. Moment of truth. Will we completely wipe out the remaining Russian surface fleet here? I am hopeful. Hey, Kalodi. Ah, darn it. We're going to lose some LRASMs. If only we had thousands more back at base. All right, survey says, okay, 7 left on the Gorshkov. 6 left on the Gorshkov. It's going to be tight, actually. 5 left. 4 left, 3 left. Wow, I may have underestimated the capabilities of this Gorshkov. 2 left. 1 left, and... maybe it makes it? Yes. All right. That was tense. The final missile gets through. Apparently, the perfect amount of missiles to fire to Gorshkov is 15. Because you need 14 to take down the defenses and 1 to actually get through. I would like to say that was all skill, no luck. That was perfectly planned from start to finish. And I take full credit for that success. All right. So, that was amazing. Let's take a quick look at the scoreboard here. I believe we have, well, we still have an average score, which I'm all right with. It's out of the negative, so that's a positive, quite literally. We have shot down and or sunk about 25 fast movers, whether they be Su-33s, MiG-29Ks, or Su-34 fullbacks. We have sunk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Russian naval ships, including the diamond in the rough, the prized possession, the Admiral Kuznetsov aircraft carrier. So we're doing quite well. I feel like, aside from the submarines that are out there trying to plot our demise that we have not seen yet, or at least confirmed sightings of, I think we've opened up this corridor quite nicely. I think we have. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So we've got strike aircraft on the Ronald Reagan still being respec'd with JSOWs. So we can use their standoff capabilities against things like the island of Orchilla or these air defense nets that we might want to take out at some point. We also have a very limited anti-air warfare capability on the Ronald Reagan right now because we've actually launched 6 of our Super Hornets with that loadout, and we only have, I think, about 6 in reserve. So if I was a betting man, and I am, I would say there's probably a threat coming towards the Ronald Reagan at some point that will allow me to get punished for having launched too many airborne assets early on with the air-to-air loadout. But we'll see. We'll see. Plenty of ways, plenty of time to go in the scenario. There's 46 hours left. We've only played just over an hour into this scenario, and the submarines are still a question mark. We don't know where they are. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a submarine. We just have to find them. But aside from that, once the area is cleared out, once the Raptors have kind of pushed all of these aerial contacts away, then I can get my Poseidons into the scouting area for subs, preferably into this area. I assume the submarines are somewhere in here. And then we'll hopefully find them and finish them. That being said, though, it's going to be a hard time to sanitize the area of aerial contacts. There's a lot of aircraft on the mainland of Venezuela that will probably want to contest me. So, again, another reason to be wary of the fact that I only have 6 Super Hornets capable of aerial warfare on the Ronald Reagan at the moment. A little limited. More limited than I thought we would be. All right, taking a quick look at a code. What city is this? This is Aroca. There we are. The enemy ground forces have approached the city. Apparently, our U.S. mechanized infantry group that decided to invade Venezuela is still going northwest. Oh, he's going to intercept. That's what he's doing. Let's just tell him to come back here. Unengage him offensive by hitting U, then just bring him back to the right side of the border. Because diplomacy. We have our 2 F-18s that are ground attack capable. They're engaged offensive on these contacts. On these ground contacts here. They just received full tank of fuel. So they should be good to go with their Mavericks and their JDAMs in about 10 minutes or so. And yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape. Let's get the clock moving again. I'm going to take a quick look at Howard Air Force Base and see if there's anything else I can use here. I do have some F-15Cs if I do run into aerial problems, especially over the carrier. They can at least get out to the Caribbean Sea and give me some aerial cover if I need it. Got 1 Poseidon here set for maritime surveillance. All right. Not a lot of other options, to be honest with you. Most of these Raptors are, well, all of these ones that remain are still in maintenance. We have 2 airborne warfare FA or F-35 Lightnings available in almost an hour. So all is not lost, but still, I feel like if we're pushed in the right spot, if the enemy decides to probe us or attack us in force at the right spot, we are going to be in a bit of a pickle. A dilly of a pickle. Alrighty. Actually, do I risk it? We don't know where exactly these Tu-160 bombers are at Orchilla. Taking a look at unit view here, we have ammo bunkers, we have runway access points, runway grade taxiways, hangars, and hangars. I would make an educated guess that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hangars are probably housing those nuclear bombers. So the final thing I'm going to do here in the last 10 minutes of stream, I'm going to reach out on a wing and a prayer and send a Tomahawk strike against Orchilla and those hangars. Don't know if I'll have time for those missiles to get there, but we're certainly going to try. So we've got 120 Block 4 TACTOM Tomahawks, capable of hitting pretty much anything aside from surface ships. Let's do it. Let's do it. Going to band select, do a manual attack. We're going to drop everything that's not looking like it can house an aircraft. We got 5 hangars, and we have a lot of Tomahawks, 56 that we can fire. Twice over. Will I be continuing this scenario another time? I'm not sure what the schedule or plan is. I would like to. I will certainly save it up where I'm at, and we'll go from there if I'm allowed to stream again for you. Just a quick note that a lot of you know me from my YouTube channel, Stoic Frog Gaming. And I am starting a playthrough there. Doing a pre-recorded playthrough, different from this one. Same scenario, same side, but it's a brand new scenario that I'm pre-recording offline. That'll be starting to go live this weekend, so if you're interested in seeing me play this through in YouTube format, you can head on over to stoicfrog.tv, which is my YouTube channel, and follow that there. The first episode should be live this weekend. All right, so let's... do I want to launch all 56? Probably. We probably do, yeah. So we got 112 missiles in total for 5 targets. Roughly speaking, that's 20 missiles per target. Let's do 21. 22. We'll fire 22 missiles per target. And do I get to plot the course? Let's come in this way. There we are. We'll fire 22 on this guy. Plot the course again. I'm going to fire, what do we have left here? We've fired 44, that's 12. We'll fire the remaining here. Plot the course. All right, so that means I've got another 10 I need to fire from the main bridge on the same target. Assign 10. I'm going to plot the course. Again, my goal here of plotting the course is just to avoid any Russian fighter patrols, anything that could spot these missiles ahead of time. I don't know if there's air defense here at the island, but like I was saying earlier, I assume there is, because Russia would not send 2 other nuclear capable bombers to that island without any sort of ground-based air defense. So whatever's there, we have to overwhelm. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. Okay, so we're going to fire 22 at this hangar. Plot the course. Go, go, go. And the final target, 22. Plot the course. And there we are. Inexact science, but it should work. Okay, so I think we're good to go. Launching missile attack. And we're going to try 15-second time compression again. If my audio starts to fail on me, I will turn down the time compression, but hopefully we have time for these missiles to reach their target. I've only got 5 minutes before I have to have a hard cut. So we'll see how far we can get. If not, I'll save it up and maybe be able to bring this back to you if they want me to stream at a further date, at a later date. I am destroying your scenario. Sorry, Robbie. It's not my intention. I just want to win it all without losing anything. It's an honorable cause, I think. Post-apocalypse, hitting the airstrip would reduce the capabilities of the airfield itself. If you take out the runway grade taxiways and or the runway, you can prevent aircraft from being launched or recovered. The planes themselves, though, they can either be in hangars or uncovered parking spots on the ground, tarmac parking spots. There's only 5 hangars here. I don't see any tarmac parking spots, so those blackjacks must be there in those hangars somewhere. So that is the hope. Okay, my Raptors are coming upon something. Let's attack them. Thank you for the follow, Shoto100. Raptors against multi-roll. Fight. 1 helicopter down. Missiles out on the remaining multi-roll as well as the helicopters. What is happening here? There is something happening. Su-33 flankers versus MAA-1 Piranha. So the Super Tucano got a bit uppity and decided to take on this Su-33 right in front of the Gladiator, or the S-300 missile battery. Fascinating. All right, we are running out of time here, and I do have a hard cut at 4, so I do have to pause the scenario. Let's do a quick wrap-up here, and I'll let you guys go for the rest of your weekend. So we have successfully defended most of Aroca and Cucuta in the Colombian border with Venezuela. We have also sunk the majority of the Russian fleet in the Caribbean Sea, if not all of it at this point in time, aside from the submarines that we haven't really seen yet. And we have a plan in place, an attack actually proceeding against Orchila to take out the nuclear bombers that we assume are in some of the hangars there. So I think we're doing pretty well. The score says we are at an average level of victory with 700 points. And we have lost, let's see, what have we lost? I don't think we've actually lost anything aside from ground units. Yeah, we've lost infantry sections, we've lost strikers, and we've lost some supporting units. But no aircraft have been lost, no ships have been lost. But I state again, the submarines in the area have not been detected on the Russian side. So they're still very much a huge threat for us. And there's a lot of gameplay left in this scenario. So where are we going to go from here? I'm going to save this up right exactly where it's at, with the hope that I can stream it for you again at some point. And yeah, if I get invited back, then we will continue on. If not, then I will be starting up my own playthrough on my own YouTube channel at stoicfrog.tv. Sometime this weekend, I've got the episode pre-recorded. I just have to edit it up and get it online. So you can follow me along there. I am Dr. Zayas for the Stoic Frog Gaming channel. I have a Twitch channel as well, twitch.stoicfrog.tv, where I stream pretty regularly. I don't necessarily play Command every night, but I do play Command every now and again on Twitch. I play other games as well. I'm a bit of a variety streamer, so you can follow along with me there. And for everybody involved in this process, from Slytherin to Roby to the Roby, of course, being the scenario author, thank you for coming on out and enjoying this Saturday afternoon stream on behalf of the Slytherin group. I do appreciate seeing y'all out there interacting in chat and having a good time, playing along and watching along as well. So yet again, thank you for coming out, guys. My name is Dr. Zayas. On behalf of Slytherin Group, have a good rest of your weekend. And again, the scenario King of the Border is available on the Steam store, as well as the Matrix Game Store. It's fully released now. You can play it yourself if you're a Command Modern Air Naval Operations owner. So go out there, enjoy it, and have a good weekend. Take care.